Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 154 with your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Johnny V. And we got a big week. We're getting back to it in the live realm of disc golf coverage.
We were just talking about our plans for Ledgestone just before we went live and the number of rounds we're covering and all that other good stuff. And I started to think, like, this is kind of how I felt going into the Memorial. I'm like, God, it's been so long since I've done this. I'm a little nervous. Am I going to be able to pick it right up and do all the switching that I need to do? And I realized, like, after about the first two holes, it just becomes like riding a bike. But right now I feel nervous because it feels like it's been 6 years since we've done it when it's only been about a month.
The problem is I need to pack my bike up and to take it. I'm getting things ready on my end.
Are you really packing a bike up?
No, I wish. But figuratively, I keep thinking, you say it's like riding a bike, and I think, yeah, the problem is I have to pack the car and make sure we have all the microphones, all the cameras, all the live gear. I've been doing quite a few post-production gigs. When we were at Worlds, we had kind of a skeleton set of equipment that was needed for there, even though we were live at night. So just kind of rounding up all those things. Most of it is sitting in a box in a nice protective case and ready to go, but just making sure you have all those things, and then you realize, oh yeah, there's a couple of cards, SD cards that are back at home, or compact flash cards, or just the odds and ends. Here's a good one. For example, at the Amateur Worlds, which I was at a few weeks ago, our good buddy Michael Downs said, well, first he had voxed me a few weeks ago saying, hey, there's something I have for you. I said, oh, good, I like that.
Yeah.
He said, I picked up a box on the desk, and it was super light. And open it up, and it looks like it's something of yours. And I said, oh, that's great. I know exactly what you're talking about. He said, all right, see you at AM Worlds. Fast forward a week or two, we're at AM Worlds, we're talking, we're hanging out. He says he's got the box for me. Yeah, I went home without the box. And I just thought of it like yesterday that we talked about it. Never got the box. The box has what many of you guys see when you're watching some action is the gray dead cat, as it's called.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
on the microphone.
Yeah, we had one shipped to Pro Worlds because
it was on back order.
It was on back order, and
So
we had some stuff to ship to Pro Worlds.
Yeah, well, it got to Pro Worlds after we already left Pro Worlds. They brought it to AM Worlds. We talked about it. It was right there in our grasp. Wasn't handed to me, so I take blame on that.
My wife yells at me a lot for things like that because we'll be walking out of the house, about the same time in the morning, and she'll be like, "Hey, you're gonna leave in about 5 minutes. Can you take out the garbage?" And I'm like, "Oh, sure, no problem. I got that. Garbage is literally right there." And inevitably, 5 minutes later, I'm like, "Okay, Mason, get your stuff, get your bag. You need your lunch. Let's get this. Let's walk out the door." I'll walk right past what she asked me to take, whether it's recycles or garbage, in one ear and out the other. A lot of times, and I know this maybe not exactly, but we say things and then within seconds it's out of our brain because there's so much going on at any particular event or time. I can understand. I don't feel I don't feel like you're a major failure for this.
Thanks. I also, speaking of equipment, as Wes is out on the board, I also left a battery in Des Moines. I graciously had Jeremiah, thank you so much, Jeremiah, who was working catch camera this weekend, handed him the camera, handed him everything he needed, including an extra battery, which we ultimately went through with 5 sums out there. And sure enough, halfway home, I had the camera. Forgot the extra battery. So thankfully, everyone and then some are going from Des Moines over to ultimately over to Ledgestone. I think Wes on the board just mentioned a moment ago that it's already. Maybe he didn't say that, but they said it would get over to Ledgestone. So we'll get it there. We'll get it charged, and no harm, no foul in this case. So, but yeah, sometimes things like that happen.
So I just literally got word seconds ago. We're gonna have to call an audible tonight. No Dynamite.
What?
No Dynamite. He said, I totally forgot. I'm out of commission. I'm sorry.
I forgot about the last 3 years of being on this show.
Maybe the day got away from him. I know he's co-TDing Ledgestone.
No.
No?
Nope. He's not even doing that. He's playing.
He's playing Ledgestone.
Went and checked out the course, but he's slacking. He's not playing this year. Or he's not TDing this year.
That was just last year. So so all right, so then he has no excuse.
No, none.
So we're not going to have a Dynamite tonight.
That's fine. We could do without him.
It's his loss. I mean,
yeah.
I always say that.
Dana. Who we are going to have is one of the champions from this weekend. Spoiler alert. Paul Ulibarri. He won over at the Brent Hambrick Memorial event. Last year it was featured as a national tour. It's one of those events that's frequently, I think almost exactly every other year, on and off again of being a national tour event. This is a, so to speak, off year, so it was an A tier. And Paul Ulibarri was at the event, and he took it down. And I want to say, before we even talk about where my visit led me, over at the Des Moines Challenge, presented by Discraft and G&L Clothing. I got to get that in there, but contractually, I have to.
Yeah, I know.
No, I had also reached out to the winner over there. Again, another spoiler, if you're waiting on my video tomorrow, James Conrad. He was the winner at that event, and James politely declined, just saying he didn't think he was equipped with technology and with signal enough to join us for the show tonight.
Okay.
Which I'll say, there's a little bit of a funny story. I'd sent a message to him, and as I was waiting in limbo, I know, for instance, Paige Pierce, along with a number of others that are traveling, to talk with James more frequently than I do. He's a great guy, and I just don't talk to him as much as some of the others on the road. So I had reached out to Paige at the same time, and I said, hey, just curious, I'll paraphrase, but I basically said, is James like an internet, Skype, technology, computer kind of guy? He doesn't strike me as one that lives on Facebook like I do. And she wrote back and said, I love this. This is hilarious. She said, you nailed it. He's not. Because I think James is so much more one of those smart people that go out and live life rather than, do it virtually sometimes like we have to. And she said, I love your question, but no, he's not. And then James got back to me and, again, told me the technology, and he says he's camping and is not going to work out. So I just want everyone to know, we reached out to James. We'll talk to him. I'm sure I'm going to get him in a position where we're going to be able to have him on the show, join us. We're talking a lot about him these days as he continues to move up through the ranks of the Pro Tour and beyond. But
this podcast is known for one thing.
Just one?
Just one.
No.
Hair.
Okay.
Who's got better hair, James Conrad or Michael Joe?
Oh, James Conrad.
Conrad?
Hands down.
Okay. That's all I care. I don't care about anymore.
Hands down.
I don't want any excuses.
Hands down.
A lot of times we talk about Robert McCall's hair, your hair, James Conrad, Michael Joe. I just needed to know because I don't think I've really met James Conrad in person. I've met Michael Joe a few times. I'm here, usually they're there. Yep. So I just wanted to know. I mean, they both have these luxurious manes, and
James Conrad, his is a little thicker, fuller. It's a little thicker on top as well.
That I knew.
And both of them, two of the nicest gentlemen you'll ever meet on the tour, which maybe there's something to be said about that. And he's
long hair don't care.
And he no longer is in that club. Just when I thought he couldn't get any more beautiful, Matt House cut off his hair. Matt House was right there with the two of them.
Matt House kind of had that man bun kind of thing going.
He had longer, but his hair was as long as almost the two of them.
He always had it up, though.
He frequently did.
You very rarely saw him with his hair down. So Matt House, thanks. Good job.
Yeah, I like it, Matt. Nice work. But he donated. I saw he had cut it off and then made a donation somewhere. I think he said it was 3 or 4 years. So anyone that's taking that effort
some
is
sort of locks for
commendable,
care or something like that. So
or locks for love, maybe.
Something like that.
It's just funny.
Hair care, locks for love, whatever.
Anyway, all right. The haters out there. I mean, why am I listening to a podcast about men's hair?
You don't get that at any other podcast. I've listened to them. There was a nice thread on Disc Golf Course Review asking, Jamie Thomas is asking, hey, what are you looking for more in podcasts? I want to know this and that. Nowhere else do you get the true hair conversation than you do right here.
That's even Robert McCall calls you out. Locks for
whatever. Sometimes, Robert, you're on the spot. You've been live before. You understand when things don't come out right.
All right.
But you know what? Let's get right into it. If we're not going to have Dana, we're going to talk about some event results.
All right.
I could just play my short little 3-minute clip from yesterday for the weekly results, but we're not. We're going to talk about each one a little bit more in depth. Let's start out with the one you haven't spoken about, which is the Rocky Mountain Championships presented by Subaru. This was in Bozeman, Montana. Tournament director was Ron Panesi, and we had 40 open players. And to no one's real surprise, an old school guy kind of took it down. Christian Dietrich, PDG number 27984. He's 1,022 rated, shot a 34 under par. He beat Kevin Sheehan by 1 stroke by shooting 3 better than him in the finals. This is Christian's second PDGA win out of 2 PDGA events. He won this and Zootown, I believe, the only 2 official PDGA events he's played. He's a force to be reckoned with out there, hands down. He's one of those guys that dominates his local area, and he could be much better and much more of a household name if he traveled more. So, congratulations to Christian.
I think he's a lawyer type.
He might be.
I think he's pretty well. I know he's pretty smart, but I think he's lawyer type smart, and that's clearly something that would keep you off of the tour for as skilled as he is. And one of the longest throwers to ever throw a disc and whatnot. I'm pretty sure he's somebody I'm sure on the board can confirm.
Yeah, lawyers make more money than disc golfers. So I think he's making the right choice.
Smart lawyers can make money off of disc golfers as well.
We saw that in Michigan with Lizard Lawyer.
Lizard Lawyer.
And taking 3rd place in that event was Kale LaVisca, followed up by Noah Meinstma. That's a tough name to pronounce. And then Peter McBride taking 5th. We're going to talk about the FPO. Sai Parananda takes down Sarah Hokum in what looks to be a playoff. They both shot 7 under par, but as we see, Sai is in the 1st place. They usually put them ahead, the winners, taking home $700. Sai averaged about looks like just 955 rated golf, maybe 960, somewhere around there, to take down Sarah Hokum. So congratulations, Sai. 3rd place was Erica. How do you pronounce that? Stinchcombe? Stincombe? Not exactly sure.
Erica. Yeah.
America.
Traveling
So,
Erica.
And then followed up by Nicole Johnson. So congratulations everybody out there for doing very, very well. Christian Dietrich took home $1,500. The funny part is I see Kevin Sheehan, he's only 977 rated. He has no prize money next to his name. So I don't know if
you should click on his name and see if he's been playing. It's an interesting time to be declining cash
right
if that's
after
the case.
Am Worlds, and that's why I say it's very strange.
It looks like he's played Open exclusively this year,
and he has taken 9th, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th, and not accepted any prize money. So I don't know much about him. Does he have
an Am Worlds up in the most recent? Yeah, he looks like he just recently attended Am Worlds.
Okay, so he played Am Worlds.
Let's see where he finished. So I'm guessing his plan is to return to Am Worlds next year.
I'm going to go out on a limb and Kevin Sheehan, Control F. Kevin Sheehan took 25th at Am Worlds.
He's holding out for next year. I'm calling it right now.
Of course,
that's his plan.
I guarantee it is. But here's what I'll say, and this is a Smashbox word of advice. It's right after Am Worlds. You just turned down probably, we'll say, $1,000. Not worth it to play Am Worlds again. And he may, if you want to reach out, Kevin, go ahead and let me know why you're doing it. But here's what I think. It's not very often, you're 973 rated. You're going to have the opportunity to take $1,000. I could understand turning down 200, 300, maybe even 400. But we just had Am Worlds. You've got a year to play and probably cash in your local area. From what it looks like, you usually finish pretty well. I would have accepted the cash there.
So I'm going to ask the board because before they even answer, my 2 guesses were going to be not just Am Worlds, but Next Generation Tour came to mind, as someone then did say on the board.
That's true.
But then also, I was going to say, how old is he? Is there any form of collegiate consideration here? And I don't know.
And that Jordan's saying he's 16. He believes. Okay, so that might. Tired of Crap says the title of world champion is worth it. Here's the problem with that, and here's the problem I have with a lot of people doing that. This year, you saw a 990 rated, 1,000 rated, I think a 980 rated player all lose to a 960 rated player.
A good one.
A good one. But there's no guarantee you're going to win Am Worlds. And granted, you can't win if you don't try, but I understand if he's 16 and he has to turn it down for amateur status reasons. That I get. If that's the case, more power to him. Go do your high school and college things. There are some people that do need to do that. We saw that with a friend of ours many years ago who played baseball at UW Milwaukee, he had to turn down money because he couldn't accept it and become a professional. So if that's the case, Kevin, I'm sorry, I wasn't aware of that. But if it's just for the fact for everyone else that you're going to maintain your AMP status for another year, just take the money. But if you have a legitimate reason like that, I'll let that one slide.
Yeah, and again, we'll have to find out whether it's college or if there's specific titles in mind or next generation.
It could be that stuff.
Potentially, he may be turning that down in quest for a car later on in the year. There's some things that we're not privy to necessarily, just because he's someone that's not from this area. So
Correct.
I can't say I know all the details. It sounds like Jordan Castro may know a thing or two out there. So we'll
Jordan
see if
knows everything.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking about bumping you for Jordan. So
Good call. I would bring him in here.
So congratulations on all those guys. So let's get into the next event. We're going to talk about the Des Moines Challenge presented by Discraft and GNL Clothing. That one, as you spoiled so rudely, James Conrad took down $1,500 there over Terry Roethlisberger. Again, it's a tie, so I'm assuming they won. James won in the playoff.
Check the tapes, bro. No,
are the tapes out?
No.
Okay, so I can't check the tapes yet because you have them and you're editing them. I know that.
Actually, it's funny enough. I busted my butt today.
I know.
Again. Essentially, the video is edited together. Thankfully, Jeremiah, who also worked a catch camera during the event, he has worked on a few of the graphics. Once those are put in, I will be able to render and upload, and I want to do both of those at some point tonight because I want those available by the time I'm in the car tomorrow and before the madness of the Ledgestone kicks in fully. I'll say this, there was, of course, 18 holes, and as you alluded to, a little playoff action. I'm not going to even spoil how many playoff holes, 1 or 6 or 9 or 14, but there was some then playoff action, and it was very exciting to watch. So I'll just start saying how awesome it was to be there. They obviously are known for putting on great events in Iowa, especially in Des Moines, a place that hosted one of the most renowned worlds, you know, that will go down in history as one of the greatest worlds ever in 2004. And Jay Greenwood, along with his entire staff and crew and everyone else that I met, a lot of people were very warm and welcoming and appreciative and just thankful to be shedding a little bit of light on the scene. And again, we all know that there's great golf in Iowa, and a lot of people from Minnesota will come over, and Iowa and Nebraska and so on and so forth. But there's not usually a lot of coverage out of there. And so it was awesome. It was kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing that transpired thanks to Discraft and Bob Giulio and all those guys. And then, of course, thanks to the Des Moines Club and to the event and Jay and everyone else, and Jeremiah for helping out. I think I got some drone hole previews that I worked with a little bit to try and feed those in. So super excited about it. It's the final round coverage out at Walnut Ridge. And I'll say this. I've visited, I think I've played, I don't know, 300 or 400 courses, somewhere in that neighborhood. Played that course during the 2004 Worlds. And it was one of the few times in my life I didn't distinctly recall every hole out there. Like I got to a hole or two, and I was like, I don't know if I've ever played this. And then some people said there may have been a change or not. I don't know.
It's been
maybe there'd be a clarification.
It's been
but
quite a few years since we've been there.
It's been 13 years since I've been there. So, but the courses were great, and this definitely tested everyone's skill sets. They said they had one of the stiffer fields that they've had in the last few years in terms of the men's side on the competition on the men's side, and yeah, just really good things out of there. So lots of good stuff going on, and I really appreciate it. Look for the videos, likely uploading while I'm driving. Well, I won't be. They'll hopefully be uploading throughout the day or processing and everything else as I'm en route down to Peoria. So by tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, you should be able to see that entire round in its entirety. I'll put up the front and the back all at once. All of the holes are edited together. Now it's just a matter of sprinkling a couple graphics on top.
Cool story, bro. Anyway, let's talk. We're going to start down for the Open down in 28th place.
Yep, read them all off.
Robert McCall.
Boom.
No, I'm just teasing, just picking on Robert a little bit. No, the top 3 or 4. So we have third place was the Am World Surprise, Adam Hammis. Second place,
Pro World Surprise, not Am World.
I'm sorry, Pro World Surprise, Adam Hammis. Second place was, like I said, Terry Roethlisberger in a playoff loss over to James Conrad. Both of those guys look like they averaged about 10-30 golf, so congratulations. Over in the FPO division, it was a close battle up until the last round. When I looked after what I believe was the second round, it was tied between Holly and I believe it was Kaylee that they were tied. And then Holly Finley in the final round shot 7 strokes better than Kaylee to take down the victory. So congratulations, Holly Finley, $470. Looks like she sandwiched 950, 873, and a 950. So a rough second round, but ultimately sandwiched him with two good pieces of bread, 950. Can't argue with that. I'd be happy with a 950 rated round these days. So congratulations to Holly. Let's move a little bit further east. We're going to go to who we have on tonight's podcast, the 21st Annual Brent Hambrick Memorial Open presented by Discraft.
And also, I did catch wind. Jay Redding had won, as you saw in the results.
Yeah.
He won that in a exciting playoff battle as well.
Not a boring playoff battle?
No, this was exciting because I think he said he hit an 80-footer on the second to last hole, or the second to last hole to push it, or in the playoff hole to push it. It was pretty exciting, I guess.
That's good.
So I just thought I'd
Cool.
throw that out
That's
there.
good.
Congrats to Jay Redding.
For sure.
A dramatic victory is
A lot of
is how that
playoffs
was.
this weekend.
I think he said
A lot of
at that
playoffs this
event
weekend.
there were 3 playoffs.
Yeah.
And I know of 2 of them. I'm not.
And then
Roger Reyes took it down in a playoff in the Grandmaster division. So yes,
and then we saw one obviously at the Rocky Mountain. So
Yep.
just a lot of playoffs this week. This week we had a lot of A tiers, I think, as everyone's getting ready for Ledgestone. Just kind of everyone's spread out. And there was a question as to why I didn't have, when I was picking skip ace events, how come I didn't have X event? You know, it was, why don't you have Des Moines, man? Des Moines is the event to be at. And then it's like, you could say that about the Rocky Mountain. I had the Brent Hambrick because it was an NT last year. I picked the events way early in advance, usually around February or March, and it's kind of a coin flip on a week like this. So, but let's talk real quickly about the Brent Hambrick Memorial. In 5th place, there was a tie with Max Nichols and Andrew Presnell. 4th place, Tyler Horn shooting a 5 down. 3rd place, Brad Schick shooting a 12 down. 2nd place, Chris Dickerson shooting an 18 under, and winning the event, no surprise, our guest tonight will be Paul Ulibarri, shooting a 21 under, averaging 950 rated golf. He shot a 936, 965, and a 1050. So some pretty good golf, to say the least.
averaging 1050 rated golf.
That's what I said.
I think you said 950 rated golf because I
Oh.
just about lost it. I'm like, he did what?
Yeah, I averaged 950. If I didn't say, if I said 950, I meant 1050, but I thought I said 1050.
I'm pretty sure you said 950 because I was thinking,
We can check. Someone can check the
wow.
tape. Yeah,
Wow.
everybody played. It was
that A
super
tier was
windy.
struggling.
It was
Because no,
super
immediately
windy.
I thought to myself, they must have the ratings all incorrect on there because there's no way he averaged
There's
950.
no way he would have anyone winning that in A tier is averaging 950 rated golf. So if I said that, I
Either
apologize.
way, either way.
A couple other names, notable names that we see on the list, not quite finishing up there, but Cameron Messerschmidt, Drew Gibson, Jeff Bennett, all of those guys, Matt Bell finishing not as hot as they would like, but all in the cash. So congratulations to all of them. In the FPO division, we'll start with 4th place because that's the cashing spot. Christine Moore shooting 48 over par. Rebecca Cox taking 3rd at 55 over par. Sandy Hendel shooting a 51 over par, and breezing through the field by 14 strokes is Jessica Weiss, 37 over par. She's 943 rated golf, and she was kind of all over the board. She shot a 906, an 890, followed up by a 957, and then there's a 957 in the finals, but I don't like ratings for only 9 holes in general. They can tend to be, they can really
well, it's not an
skew.
official rating.
Correct,
that's
but they
why.
tend to skew very off, which is why they don't count them.
Yeah.
So
I don't even bother listing them.
They're here on the PDGA, which is why you look at them.
I almost wish they wouldn't even bother.
I
because
agree.
It adds to the confusion because then people wonder if those are rated or not.
Yep.
And is it 12 or 13 holes? I think it's 13 holes you need, or maybe it's 12. One of the two. To have a round officially rated. So whenever you see a final 9, it's just, unfortunately, it's just totally irrelevant, and it does not count towards your rating. So just in case anyone cares or ever wonders about that, especially when we see some Final Nines, again, if you're in 4th place and you have nowhere to go but up, you're taking shots and doing things that may or may not be conducive to your rating to begin with. So
special shout out to Tired of Crap and to Drew Smith, who did a little bit of super chat. Thank you. We appreciate all the support. So.
Yes. And as always, if you want to participate, Super Chat is a feature available on YouTube. If you're logged in, on the bottom, there's a little $sign. And what it does is it just highlights whatever you say. And if you are so inclined to put any financial contribution in there, then it jumps out on the page, not just for us, but for everyone to see. So if you want something that you'd really like to yell at us or have us announce or talk about or address your question, that's a really easy way for us to see it. So again, yes, Tired of Crap and Drew Smith, thank you guys very much.
We're more or less trained monkeys when we see that.
Yeah, so, we're like, what? Oh, my eyes, that's so bright.
Look at the colors. So
we
thank you.
it.
Thank you, everybody.
And we typically don't even plug it. Some people are just very generous. Tired of Crap always being the person all over that. Ronald Harkey does bring up. Well, I'm sorry. Do you have anything else that you were talking about in terms of that event?
No, those are the 3 A tiers we really had. There was one over in Finland. I believe that's pronounced the Kai Open. We had a couple of our U.S. players stay over there. So actually, I'll quickly talk about this one. Greg Barsby continuing his hot streak, taking that one down, 15 under par. He won $1,030. Followed up right behind him by 1 stroke, Jeremy Coling shooting a 14 under par. So congratulations to those 2 guys. In the FPO field, we have what looks like Maija Latinen shooting a 28 over par and winning $535. So
awesome. Yeah. A couple of other quick things of note, which Ronald Harkey just brought up, I wanted to mention. So Christian Dietrich, you said, came from behind and ultimately took it down,
yep.
and an ace helped his cause.
Correct. There was a pretty cool ace that he had. I didn't look at any of the details. Someone just said this is an awesome-looking ace. It's a beautiful ace. Mm-hmm. It looked like it was 400 feet.
Something like that. Slightly downhill.
Just smashed chains.
So it plays like 280.
Yeah.
Surprised you could reach it.
The problem is it's really hard because he throws so far. It's hard to tell how far that distance really is.
Sure.
If it was someone like you or me, or even we'll say an average pro throwing, I can kind of judge the distance. When a guy like that throws a long shot, it's really hard to see if it's that could have been 350, that could have been 475, and it's really just hard to tell. So
congrats to Central Coast. I was traveling back from Des Moines, so I don't know if it ever made Sports Center. I'm sure someone out there can confirm. Mm-hmm. I didn't see any kind of the fallout in terms of like, oh, here it is on Sports Center. Usually people record that and then put that up separately. So I didn't see any of that. So I'm assuming for that reason alone it didn't make it, but certainly the camera work was there and the aesthetics were there. So unfortunately, it would be too bad if it did not make it to Sports Center, but I'm sure someone can let us know if it did. But nonetheless, it's always awesome capturing an ace. I believe Ian specifically, along with a few others of the crew, were all actually in Montana.
Ian played the event because he was
Yeah,
he was saying,
how dare he?
He played 3 rounds and filmed 3 rounds. So on a court, and he's like, I was beat. So I think I saw something along that lines on Facebook. So congratulations, Ian. That is Iron Man golf at its best. So you're working both sides.
Yeah, working both sides of the camera. Very cool. Shortly, we'll have Paul Ulibarri on. One thing I wanted to talk about, because he forgot to do it last week, and it's very relevant because it's less than 20 hours away. Dana is hosting and emceeing and coordinating an event tomorrow that's very cool as the Ledgestone festivities are kicking off, and he is doing a doubles event, and I wanted to read the details from him specifically, even though I'm sure I'll screw it up. I know it's out there. It's all over on Facebook, but it's a doubles event that's got the likes of Valerie Jenkins, Paige Pierce, Ricky Wysocki, and Nate Doss, and he says they're playing 9 holes and will draw a new partner every hole, best shot. You can buy tickets with Dana to be selected right out of the crowd, right out of the gallery, and if you win the hole, you will get a disc. So you get to play best shot doubles with any one of those 4 people, and that will be taking place tomorrow, and I'm going to be filming it and then putting it together for a post-production release as well. I wouldn't count on it coming out during that week necessarily, but I will put that together, and then that will be released. So you can do that with tomorrow. I want to say 4 p.m. and Sunset, if I recall. I should double-check where I'm driving to. I think it's 4 p.m. at Sunset, and all of the money generated, this is the important part, all of the money generated, all the revenue brought in is going directly to the fundraising for St. Jude. So awesome experience for both the players as well as to benefit St. Jude. I think the last 2 years Nate's handed out somewhere around $50,000 or ultimately donated in the neighborhood of $50,000 to St. Jude, and that to me is amazing, and that's comes from fundraising through Dana and through other efforts. And so if you want to participate in any of that, reach out, find the Ledgestone pages, and make sure that you're part of it. So UDisc clarifies that it is 4 p.m. tomorrow. We'll be live scoring the doubles on udisclive.com. So live scoring the doubles on udisclive.com. So there you go.
Awesome.
Also looking, Sun King presents the Northwood Knockdown. That must have been yesterday. Okay. And I think there's flex starts going on this week. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Thursday, please come see me, and you could win $10,000. I just hand over $10,000 like that. Wow. All you have to do is first give me $5 and then ace. But besides that, you could win $10,000.
Pretty simple.
That sounds like a pretty good trade-off. And I'll film it. And I would hope if we get a $10,000 ace, we hopefully would also then get it featured on SportsCenter that very night.
I bet you no.
We'll see.
But I did see.
Why don't you ace and then worry about SportsCenter later?
I agree.
That's what I say.
I'd love to. I did see an awesome shot from a golfer who won a Jaguar. I believe it was a Jaguar. I couldn't tell from the car. It was behind him. He hit a hole in one. I think it was maybe on their first hole. Cupped it. Didn't even hit the green. Just hit the pole
straight in.
Hit the pole about a foot up and just went pop straight down into it to win the car that was behind him. And he was, I mean, granted,
was it hole one or was it his first hole of the round? As in, it could have been on 10 maybe, but
it was a clip. It was a clip on Facebook. I couldn't exactly see. I thought I heard the announcer say something about a good way to start the day. So I don't know if it was his particular hole one or his first hole, or just
it doesn't matter,
or an early hole for him. Either way, it was pretty awesome to watch him win a car that way. You very rarely see a golf ball just slam into the cup. So it was a pretty cool shot.
Awesome. Well, so that's going to be going on. Tons of festivities.
Porsche station wagon.
The Festival of Flying Disc will be taking place this weekend. There's, I think, 900 or 950 or 10,000 registered people for Ledgestone. The players pack's insane. The payout's insane. Everything's going to be insane about that event. So we're super excited to be out there and covering it and taking place. Speaking of which, I also had a follow-up with one Simon Lizotte today, and I went as far as getting a quote from him.
Wow.
That sounds all journalistic, doesn't it? But I wanted to follow up because I think there was a little bit of talk about how Simon is not in the event, and obviously a winner from a couple years ago.
I heard he's scared.
And I think you read between the lines. Scared is definitely one way to look at this. But I reached out to him and I said, we'll talk about some of the people that aren't there, and can I get an official response from you? And he said, UC offered a promo tour for me to do in Finland, and considering all of the travel logistics, it made more sense for me to do that. Physically and financially, it seemed easier. I don't like missing Ledgestone, of course, and I really want to be back next year. So
yeah, it's unfortunate that, and
you heard it here, folks.
More power to Simon for that. If he can make a better financial decision and a better decision for him all around, good for him. It's unfortunate that our pros have to make those financial decisions, especially arguably one of the top 5 players in the world, that he has to look at and go, well, financially it's better if I do this. I hope we get to a point in 10 or 15 years that these guys don't have to worry less about that. I don't think, even in 10 or 15 years, I don't think they're going to be swimming in money, but I hope to look at that and go, and where he can go, yeah, the finances don't matter as much to me, and I think I'll do that. But hopefully he's out there spreading the word of disc golf, awesome for him and UC for setting that up. So we look forward to that. Hopefully he comes back to the States soon.
Okay, well, it looks like we can get Paul Ulibarri, and that's one of the things we'll talk to Paul a little bit about as to what he knows in terms of some of the players that are or aren't there on the board right now. They're talking...
Coling has pulled out of the Ledgestone, which means we probably won't see any aces.
Exactly. So very interesting. Someone had said no Germ, no Eagle, obviously no Lizotte, no Sexton. Some of those may be surprising, some may not, but that's very interesting to see. So... yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to read through the board. There's a lot of interesting things going on.
We're just waiting for Paul Ulibarri just to show us your video. Hopefully we can get that in a couple seconds here, and we'll
be able to catch up with him and talk about not only some of his recent travels. A lot of people have been clamoring, "Where's Uli? Where's Uli?"
Yeah.
And, you know, through some travel and other stuff, it just hasn't worked out well to have him. We'll also have to talk about his brother. Talk about a special weekend. Both him,
the better-looking Ulibarri?
Yeah, taking down a tournament as well. So the fact that they both pulled down tournaments on the same weekend, that is pretty awesome to hear and see as well.
Looks
so
like like we're having a little signal issue.
We'll see if we can get him as soon as he turns.
There we go.
Turn your camera and prop it up somewhere so you don't have to move it around in just a few seconds.
Here's what I think we're... Oh, we lost. We lost him.
We're going to hold on that.
Give him a call back here. I'm going to mute the beeping so nobody hears that. But, yeah, so we'll have Paul on here in just a quick second. I might... Paul, I'm going to take out our video to you because it looks like your signal strength... it's kind of up and down. But I'm just going to take off our video so that hopefully the bandwidth is a little bit better on your side. And let's go ahead and have... we need you to click your video. Oh, here it comes. Looks like...
Got to see that pretty face.
There we go. We just need him to switch to the other camera. I think he flipped...
And then rotate it.
I think he flipped...
Flip the script, bro.
I think he flipped cameras to the other side.
We'll make it work one way or another in a moment.
This is why we don't have him on anymore. He can't figure out his phone.
Phones are tough.
Phones are very tough.
As he's talking about a few technical difficulties, we'll work through those. I wanted to mention something that I just saw that Chuck Kennedy had posted a little bit earlier. Today is an interesting day in disc golf history to some degree. As he says, two Minnesota tragedies coincided. I was trying to spit that out too quickly.
I feel you, bro.
2001, during the Worlds, which I was participating in, certainly one of the hottest Worlds. We talk about every Worlds being so hot. This one was one I'll never forget in terms of the heat and more so the humidity to accompany the heat. 108, 110 in indices. Viking Corey Stringer had died during a heat stroke for one of the highest heat index days in recorded weather history while we were out at Worlds.
Yeah, that was that was a Worlds where a lot of people pulled out because of the heat. It was just not...
So that happened in 2001, and then fast forward, 2007, 6 years later, some quick math there, I recalled just getting done when we had run the Am Worlds. I got in the car the very next morning after running Am Worlds and drove straight up to Pro Worlds, which was also in Wisconsin that year. It's like southern Canada, way up near High Bridge. And on August 1st was the day that I-35, a bridge on I-35, had collapsed. And I remember being, again, we were bordering Minnesota. A lot of Minnesota players had come over for the event. So there was a lot of ties back to Minnesota.
Paul, I think you need to click the little icon that has the camera with the little flippy thing so it flips to the other camera, your front-facing camera. I think that might be your issue.
So, yeah. So two memories, not so great memories, that were taking place around Worlds time that were related to Minnesota. Again, the heat stroke in 2001, and then 6 years later the bridge collapsing, and both while Worlds was taking place. So pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is a little nuts. We're just having... every time we get him, I see the video, it's the opposite camera on his phone, so I think he's just having a problem getting that to kick in.
We'll get it figured out one way or another, maybe.
Yep.
And oh yeah, hey, today marks my birthday month, so like that's a thing.
No,
no, it's not a thing.
If you're like
13?
13, you can kind of claim a birthday like, hey,
Month.
It's my birthday month.
It's my birthday month. Well, I will see some of you. I think my birthday's Friday. What day is it? Today's the 1st?
Yeah.
Friday the 4th. So I'll look forward to seeing some of you guys. Well, we are in the in the madness that's going to be the Ledgestone. All right. So maybe this is a little more. Mr. Shaggy4205 says it's your birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday early, Mr. Shaggy. Well, we'll probably still be on when it's your birthday a little later tonight, but nonetheless, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. All right, we've got Paul. All right, so we see Paul's camera. Hi, Paul. But it's showing the... there it is.
Hey-o.
Sorry, guys, I can't hear you at all.
You can't hear us.
I don't know why.
I
can see that you're saying something, but for some reason it's like I've never had to deal with this before. It's not. I can't get the sound to work on my side.
That's strange.
It's saying that I have like a speaker on or something, and I turn my Bluetooth off and everything, and it's acting up. I'm trying to fix it.
That's very strange.
I have no clue.
Do you have headphones? Is that a headphones somewhere? Headphones?
Where I see you coming up with something really good for me to do, but
now we're miming to Paul some headphones.
There we go.
I'll be right back.
Yes,
okay,
he's gonna go look for some headphones. He's saying he's having some technical difficulties. He says that he can see us, but he cannot hear us.
And
I think that might be a dream for some people.
No, most people don't want to see or hear us.
All right, well, he's going to run off and try and grab some headphones, and possibly we'll get that to work for him. So we'll see. Yeah, Paul is very handsome. Cool One says he must be breaking the lens. There seems to be some kind of issue. We'll get it figured out, and hopefully we can have him join us. What else did you have? Whoops, sorry. Do we have any other news or exciting things going on around the sport of disc golf that we've seen?
There's always some PDGA stuff going on. We had the board of directors vote and your state coordinator vote. So
yes, that is correct.
That is a very important thing. We found out that out of 36,000 potential votes that could have been cast, about 5,200 were. So we're not looking at great percentages there. Ultimately, if you're a PDGA member, do a little bit of research. Please go out and vote when you get the opportunity, because we don't like to hear people complain if they're not voting. So, but the board of directors, we saw Rebecca Duffy and Robert Decker leaving the board of directors, and taking their place is David Foss out of Virginia, PDGA number 68895. He is out of Burke, Virginia. He's the same age we are. 1978 he was born. It says gender.
Is it his birthday month? Is it?
Oh, Jesus. It has his education. He's a history teacher. He's got a full bio and statement. If you want to go out there, you can go out to pdga.com/2017-PDGA-election-results. There's a link on the PDGA page to find this stuff. And look at his bio and statement. The other person to win is the newly married, about to run the Ledgestone. He's still in his newlywed phase. It's been less than a year.
I think it's been just over a year.
Was it just? Did he get married just before Ledgestone? I thought he got married just after Ledgestone last year.
I want to say April, just to throw all his business out there. I would think that was April of last year.
Was it? I thought it was right after Ledgestone, but I could be. Obviously, I could be wrong. So, Nate Heinold. So, congratulations, Nate, out of Washington, Illinois, born in 1986. He's such a young little guy. He's got occupation is VP of Ledgestone Insurance. He has a nice little bio and statement, and he also has a YouTube clip out there when he ran that you could watch and determine. So congratulations to Nate and David Foss. So if you were out there, you can look at your local state. There's they do about half the states one year, and then they switch off to the next year and they do the other half. Terry right here is our Wisconsin state coordinator again. There's not been a different one. You're the only one that's ever been the state coordinator since they've implemented state coordinators.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 15 or 18 years or
something like
14 or 16 or 29. I don't know. It's been what the PDGA used to have was regions. I believe there were either 6 or 8. I think I don't recall. It was either 6 or 8 regions that oversaw just that, a kind of a general area, Midwest, South, whatever, all the different regions. And Duster Don, PDGA 1455, who's kind of the godfather of Wisconsin disc golf, very crucial and instrumental in so many things that have taken place here in Wisconsin, also in the PDGA Hall of Fame. Well, he was the regional coordinator, and it was right around the late 90s into the early 2000s when they then realized, wow, we have a lot of things going on. We could go to a state-based. And at that point, the internet was starting to really take hold, and he's like, I'm not into all that. I suggest you do it. I think he more or less handed it to me the first year, and then every year since. So here we are. Thanks. Glad to do it. It's becoming a lot more work because there's so many sanctioned events, but it's a lot of fun, and I love representing the PDGA and being kind of a liaison between the PDGA and individual players. If you have a sanctioning question or some basic questions, usually I can be kind of that middleman, so not every single person feels that they have to go to the PDGA to get the answers. And I'm more or less that middleman. And if it's beyond me, then hopefully I can direct you to the right people and resources.
Paul, can you hear us now?
Can you hear us? He's staring at us, which makes me think he cannot hear us.
Can't hear us. Either that or he's just ignoring us.
No, I don't think that's the case.
All right, I'm gonna do one thing as well. I don't think it's on our side because we've never had this issue before. But I'm going to quit. I'll mute that so you guys don't hear me quit Skype. I'm going to reopen Skype just in case, in the off chance it's us, but I don't think so.
Scott asking, as you do that, what is involved with being a state coordinator? I kind of just gave you a few of the things. Basically, you're just that, though. You act as the liaison between the two, and hopefully, if you have a scheduling question or a sanctioning question, which weren't as much of a concern 20 years ago or 15 years ago, but they are now, those types of things, I can be considered a resource for new course designs, or, sometimes there'll be, we'll say, a company, maybe it's a marketing firm, or it's a state-based brewery, or some other major conglomerate or a company that wants to send an email that says, hey, we're interested in supporting something, in disc golf, and then that may go to an individual state coordinator, and from there I could pass it on to individual tournament directors or to a state tour like we have in Wisconsin. Those are all types of things that could be used for it. Also helping keep on top of the PDGA course directory and whatnot. Now, a lot of those things have become self-sufficient and are editable by individuals and almost like a crowdsourcing. So there's a lot of ways those things can now be taken care of, but for the longest time, they really kind of funneled a lot of those responsibilities into one person to then help. And now every state's different. Wisconsin is one of the front runners in amount of courses. We're pushing somewhere in the neighborhood of 300. Depends which resource you use. We're either just over or just under 300 courses. The amount of sanctioned tournaments, I think at last count we were somewhere in the 40 to 50 range, which at one point we had 5 or 6 or 8 way back when. And then members, and I'm not sure how many members we have. I know we have quite a few, but all of those things, I know we're up there in the top 5 or 8 or so in almost every category in terms of disc golf in Wisconsin. And obviously there's your Texas and your California. California's broken up into a Northern California and a Southern California state coordinator because obviously it's so massive. But
I'm going to pause you for 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm going to quick restart the stream.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Just so you might lose us for just a split second.
All right.
Bear with us.
For 1 second.
We will be, I promise, we will be right back. I want to try one thing to try to get this to work with Paul, just to make sure that this is...
Hang tight.
That it's not on our side. So hang
Chuck
tight.
Woolery says we'll be back in 2 and 2.
2 and 2. All right, we should be back, guys. Thanks for sitting tight with us.
As the new kids on the block would say, hanging tough.
All right, I think we might have fixed this up now. So I'm going to give Yuli a call back here, and we're going to see if that is the case. And
well, I'd feel silly if you were effing it all up.
So
here we were blaming Yuli.
No, I don't believe it's Yuli. I think it might have been an issue with our Skype. So
or you.
Skype. Uh,
All right, we'll blame Skype.
Yeah, so I think restarting our streaming system and then giving Skype a little kick, I'm hoping that fixed it up for us, and that should be. I'm hoping that that's it. So I'm going to give Yuli a call here. You know what? We used to be kind of known for having live issues. We have not had any in a long time.
Well, Udis says, I think you guys should invest in a technical difficulties, please stand by graphic. And I said, that's what Super Chat's for. I think that's a Super Chat sponsorship coming.
All right, Yuli, you hear us now?
Wow, you guys sound great.
We do. And you know what? I don't think it... I'll be honest. I don't think it was on your side at all. I believe it was our Skype. So I think I had to quick restart our stream, mess with Skype real quick, and come back. So, but we are glad to have you. Well, welcome back to the show. It's been a long time.
I'm afraid to take off the headphones.
It's okay. You can leave the headphones on. It doesn't matter. You can join the club. Terry and I each have a pair. So
yes, you can be in the headphone club. Well, first of all, thank you for rejoining us. We know it's been, as many will say, far too long. It's good to see you. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of you in the upcoming weeks on site. But congrats this weekend. It's got to feel good to take down a win.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be back on SmashBoxx. Yeah, I took a little hiatus there. The tour got super busy all of a sudden, and you know, it's tough. You know as well as anybody how tough it is out there to stay focused and do all these things. But I'm glad to be back, and yeah, I got a good win last weekend. Seems like things are coming together for me, so you know I am happy about that.
Yeah, you finished up your European event pretty strong, jumping back up to what, 7th place it was, or 5th place?
Yeah, I ended up getting 6th place,
right between them. So, and then you come back to the States, play the Brent Hambrick. Which does that have a special? Is that a special event for you? I know that was your very first NT victory.
Yeah, it's my only NT victory, and absolutely, it was a long time ago. I've been playing a long time since, but for sure, you know, that kind of kicked me up into, you know, a different level for sure. If you win an NT, obviously it does all kinds of stuff for your career. And so, yeah, it kind of kick-started my career, and I left it at that.
So what would you say is the reason, you know, we've talked kind of about the 3 events going on. Is it just purely where someone happened to be the weekend before? Why would you say someone was at where you were, for instance, over in Ohio versus, I don't know, 4, 6, 8 hours away over where I was in Des Moines, and then, you know, 6, 8, 10 hours. I don't know how far the Rocky Championship was. But why would you say any one person picked out any one of those 3 events? Was it flip a coin? Is it where your crew was?
I think it's probably really the same reason. I think people have their favorites. I mean, you see Kale go over to Montana a lot and play that event, and you know, Des Moines always grabs a good handful of great players over there. And honestly, it was a coin flip between Des Moines and the Hambrick, and probably because I play well at the Hambrick, that's why I picked there for sure.
It makes perfect sense. I know, as some people will see throughout the video, Alex Geisinger certainly seems to have a personal challenge with Walnut Ridge, and he was second guessing himself sometimes throughout the round, saying, "Why? Well, what is it about this course being the 3rd course on the weekend?" Now we saw Drew Gibson and Max Nichols from California both out in Ohio when one of those other 2 courses would have been closer. It's just funny how everyone was scattered. And then I saw Paige Pierce in Des Moines, but caddying and not even playing in what would have been a 5 or 4 or ultimately 5 women's division. Just kind of a weird weekend in those ways.
Yeah, I think, you know, this late in the season, when I can't speak for Paige, but I know if you're playing good, you know, it's sometimes you just kind of want to ride that out and take some breaks. And you know, as well as she's playing, obviously she has the ability to take those breaks, and she probably wasn't feeling it, and you know, rather caddy. I wish I could do that more often. I actually caddied at the Handbrake last year.
I was going to say you caddied
Macbeth,
caddied for Macbeth last year at the Handbrake because you had some issues that you couldn't play. So it was very interesting that it's just a year later and now you're like
champ.
You're like scrub Macbeth. I don't need you. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win this.
Yeah,
he's not there.
I'm sure it could have been a different story with some good players there, but I definitely it was a really good weekend. I played really well.
Yeah,
for
you
the first
shot
time in a long time.
Yeah, you shot 1050 rated golf, so there's no. I mean, you can't take that away from anybody.
So
No, absolutely.
where are you this very moment, and then how does this rest of the week play out for you?
Yeah, I'm in Morton, Illinois.
Okay.
It's like 15 miles from the Eureka course, and I'm just I got here. I actually got in today, and I'm just I got a practice round in and a few extra holes, and I'm just gonna get some good practice in tomorrow. I have a great first group. I play with Austin Turner, Kale LaVisca, and Ben Calloway. So,
very nice.
A good start to the tournament, and yeah, I plan on playing really well. I feel like I'm coming into my own right now and playing the best of golf that I've played in years, for sure.
Certainly something that people were talking about today. I saw a few of the women had posted about it, and you just referenced it. Tee times are up. People can not only see when the individuals are playing in groups, but then who you want to go watch. So that's
Right.
pretty exciting. Did you, other than who you're with, did you pay any attention to any other cards? You probably don't really need to.
I didn't really. I just kind of wanted to see who I was playing with and
Yep.
what time. And
So that gives everyone, like I said, the opportunity to go out, find your favorite players, see what time. In fact, I'll admit I hadn't looked at them myself, and I'm just about to see what kind of cards there were, when they're going to be at. I'm sure we're going to have some somewhat stacked cards or some maybe featured cards going on toward the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean,
that seems to be normal.
I didn't really see that the last tee time was a stat card. I didn't recognize a few of those players on like the last few tee times, so they didn't do that.
No, they did not. Yeah.
No, it looks like I don't even know who we're covering. We should cover your card, to be honest. I'm looking at your card.
We're not doing first round.
I know, but in general, you have Austin, Kale, and Ben Calloway and yourself. If there was a featured card, that would have to be one of them. So that's a great card. That'd be a great card to cover. I mean, it's Macbeth, Doss, Jacob Mott, and KJ. So there's another
on the card just before you.
On the card just before you. Well, technically after 10. They are 11. Paul's 11:30. No, wait. I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong way. I sorted it the different way. So yeah, 10:50 versus 10 or 11:50 versus 11:40. So. Yeah,
and I think those cards might have been maybe handpicked. It looked like a few of those could have been in the middle, kind of bunched up all around the same time. So.
All right. Well, it should be exciting nonetheless.
How do you feel about the Eureka course? I mean, you're playing 4 rounds there this weekend.
Yeah, I played the first practice round there today, and they made a lot of changes that I noticed, and I love the changes.
Really?
I think that the course has turned into a great course.
Yeah, because we heard complaints the first year it was out there that there were a lot of pros that didn't like a lot of the holes. They thought it was a little bit tacky, some of the OB that they had, and some of the general. As everyone complained about the volleyball hole, but you think that since then Nate's done a pretty good job, or whomever's helped him as well, in grooming that course?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like it's a 10 times better course than it was, and I didn't mind it when all that stuff was. I thought the volleyball hole was absolutely ridiculous, of course, just like everybody, but besides that, I really didn't mind really any of the holes.
Okay.
Yeah, in speaking with Dana earlier, I don't know if it was yesterday, I think he had just gotten off the course. He had called me on his way home, and he was saying, I really like the changes out here. And that says something about Nate and the staff and the crew, the PDGA, the Pro Tour, everyone involved in any capacity. We're having one of the largest payout of all time, and this event is so massive with such an undertaking, and to take that hopefully constructive criticism that continues to roll in, to take that, kind of roll with the punches, put your own twist on it, but then also still listen to what really needs to be or maybe should be done. And it sounds like that feedback has continued to unfold, and that's you and Dana, two very respected players in our game, talking about liking the course that much more. So that's good to hear. Do you feel like Dana thinks it's going to play time-wise? He says he thinks it's going to play longer. Do you feel the same in that?
It depends on the weather, honestly. I think if it's calm during the week, it's going to play pretty fast. I don't think they're going to be like some crazy backup holes if it's calm. But if any wind or anything like that comes about, it's definitely going to play a lot longer. Like a little bit of wind makes the course 6-7 strokes harder, I think. It really changes the course. Today there was absolutely no wind, and it seemed like brainless shots, honestly.
Well, and I feel like, and Johnny's confirming, I feel like Eureka or
Morton.
Lake Eureka, or Eureka is the city, but when I recall looking at the forecast again a few days ago, and you can never trust them usually until you're in it, but I feel like we're supposed to have a relatively calm week throughout with a possibility of rain on one of the days. But
Thursday, possible thunderstorms. I can't tell if that's early or late. And then Sunday morning, 30% chance of rain. So what looks
Today
like...
was even crazy, though. I was there around, I believe, like 1 o'clock, and we got out of the car, went to the first hole, and torrential downpour. Just torrential downpour. Winds picked up. It was absolutely insane. There was a funnel cloud above the lake. That's no joke, like formed like probably a mile away. We were all just watching it. And then like 20 minutes later, it was perfectly calm and clear.
Wow.
And then we got done with the round and played a couple more holes, and then another torrential downpour. So it seems like maybe that's just the way the weather is around here or something, because it was like black and white throughout the day.
Yeah, it looks like Thursday you guys are going to run into some weather for sure, and then you're probably going to be safe the rest of the weekend. So, which is fine because we're not filming on Thursday.
Yeah, so good. You guys got to play in it. We won't.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that makes sense because now I do recall seeing it. I think it was an Instagram post of sorts or a chat or something from Paul Macbeth, who was saying that they saw a tornado. They had dodged basically a tornado off in the distance, and they were out at the course. So that must have been exactly what you were seeing out there. You've been practicing out there. Is there any specific routine now that this event has now focused solely on this one course, which is not all too common with a 3 or 4 day event. So now it's down to just one course. How do you feel that helps your preparations?
I mean, it's definitely a lot easier. At practicing today, it was like a breeze. It was, the changes, obviously we threw a couple extra shots on those, but I mean, he's pretty much kept the same course for the last couple of years now, and it's all right there in front of you. Mm-hmm. So I think practice is going really smooth. I think people are, there's nothing really confusing going on. You kind of know the drill and you get it done. So
good.
It's nice that the whole pro field is at one course, and you don't have to worry about anything else. And I guarantee that's what everybody wants.
It's going to help for coverage. It's going to help for simplicity. Whole previews, like just everything in terms of our model, to be selfish on our model and our end. It certainly helps with consistency for us. It's great to be able to say, I watched Paul, Ulibarri park this hole yesterday, and today there's more wind and he hung it. There's just a lot of things that really helps on our end, and we've been actually blessed throughout the years. Even though Lake Eureka is somewhat in the middle of nowhere, we have usually
pretty good signal.
Knock on wood, amazing cell signal. So
right. Well, the course is, I think, one of probably the top 5 courses we're going to play all year.
Wow.
That's
a big statement considering the uproar just two short years ago, the uproar over the course and the rules that some people really took issue, claiming they'd never be back and so on and so forth. So that's a pretty big statement on your behalf.
Disc golfers will never be back. You put some money up. We're coming back. We're playing volleyball, mate.
You'd play 18 holes at the volleyball court.
I'll never be back. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. No, you put enough money up, we'll be there.
Yeah. You put 18 holes on that volleyball court, and you'll play all day long for $10,000, won't you? In fact, you'd probably love to see some volleyball or other games mixed in. You're an all-around sports athlete. You'd love to see maybe some skateboarding tricks somehow could earn you some money.
Some BMX.
Whatever they got, man. I'll compete in anything. We just got done playing a nice little mini golf round. A few of us got together and we were all gambling out there. And
$10 a stroke.
Did you come up ahead or behind?
I came up a little bit ahead. I won the first match, but these guys got a little out of control. I won't name any names, but they were putting some heavy bets up there.
Ooh.
Huh. Okay. Where were you playing mini golf?
Oh man, I wish I could remember. It was like some ice cream. It was a championship level course too. It might be a Nate Heinl design.
I was going to ask because
it was tough.
Just 2 days ago, I went mini golfing with the family, and there's one here just a couple miles from my house, and I'll say it's got some really, really fast greens for a family mini golf course, and it's really tough to teach your kid when you have to hit it just right because the hole is on top of like the smallest mound in the whole place. So I was getting a little frustrated at the mini golf this past weekend.
Did your kids beat you again?
No, thankfully not. Ugh, luckily, but.
So my question would be, with all these changes and accolades, I'm excited to check things out come Thursday, Friday, but what would you say is your favorite hole on the course, whether it was freshly revamped or if it was one we're familiar with from previous years? What's your favorite hole out there and why?
I really like the first par 5.
Okay.
It's just kind of right there in front of you, but it allows you to do anything you really want to do. Like you can definitely go for eagle and bite off a lot. He actually widened the fairway a little bit to entice some people to take a little bit more off on the first shot so that you can have an eagleable opportunity. But then I feel like he might have made it a little tighter at the basket. So
okay,
I don't know. It's kind of wide open and kind of a little bit USDGC with the ropes and stuff, but at the same time, I like that type of design, especially with where the game's going right now with all these big arms and people, throwing it a long way. So,
all right. So my next question that would be: we've seen and talked about a handful of people that have had to withdraw. Johnny McRae also on the list. Now him for his Lyme disease flare-up that he had a few weeks ago that kind of started hindering him around the end of Worlds, and then we've seen him have to withdraw from a few events and really be sidelined due to that. And I think it was announced that he's officially withdrawn as well. So do you have any inside scoop? We talked about Simon Lizotte is sticking back and doing a tour and a number of other promotional things with UC. What do you know about some of our bigger names that are not there? Big Germ, I think someone said, Sexton, so on and so forth?
Yeah, I know for sure Sexton and Big Germ won't be making it. Germ stayed overseas to, I think, maybe run a couple clinics and play another tournament out there.
Oh.
Sexton's next tournament's going to be Pittsburgh, I believe.
Okay.
Wow.
So, yeah, kind of surprising to see those people drop out, and it's unfortunate for Johnny McRae. Speedy recovery for him, of course. Hate to see a great competitor like him going through something like that. But that's about all I know, really.
Okay. Eagle McMahon, do you know? Some have said that he was one of those people that have said he's just not a fan necessarily of the layout or the format or design or anything like that. And I think that's what I recall hearing in the past. And some others might be echoing that, but I don't know if that's for sure.
Yeah, well, don't have to come play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've seen in the past Eagle. I mean, and Paul, maybe you can kind of attest to this. We've seen Eagle have to take. It seems like he has to take a break every few weeks or months to kind of just get himself back together because he might not be built for the grind. How do you get through? Because you are notorious for touring and hitting an event almost every weekend that you can. How do you decompress, or how do you refresh to get yourself warmed up for the next event, or is it just something natural inside of you?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I tell a lot of people that, I was 18 when I went on tour, so a lot of people have like their houses and their apartments and stuff like that to go back to, and they're used to that home base. And when I moved out, I went straight on tour, and that's kind of my home. And so when I go back and I'm staying somewhere in the off season, I kind of long to be out there playing tournaments. I think it's probably because that's what I'm used to. That's kind of where I feel most comfortable. I think that's probably the best answer that I could give as far as that. I love competing. I love playing as much as I can. And unfortunately, getting older, my body's not like it used to be. And I can't play or practice as much as I'd like, but I still try to play as many events as I possibly can. And it's nice to be able to still be able to do it.
Sure.
What I was just going to say, I'm sorry, I was chatting with, I was trying to send a few messages over to Nate Heinold. I kind of wanted to clarify. One of the things talked about with this being the largest payout of the entire year and the biggest purse, the most added cash, and so many other great things that they're doing, is the distribution that we've sometimes seen in the, well, not sometimes, the last 2 years that we've seen in the payout. Some people are saying, well, with all this money and these massive payouts, why isn't first place 15 or 20 or 25 grand? And we see that Nate has traditionally really made it just thick throughout, rather than really top heavy. And someone like yourself, who's in contention to win on any given weekend, you find yourself up against the best and the best. Do you feel like that kind of thicker throughout model versus really top heavy, does that advantage you in any way versus going another route?
I personally think that the top 10 in the tournament should be getting more than everybody else, and I think it should kind of water down from there.
Okay.
Only because when you're in the top 10, probably you're pretty close to the lead. Mm-hmm. And so almost how much work are you doing type thing. And I definitely am one to say that first place deserves a lot more than everybody else, of course. But after that, I feel like we should be seeing in the future more, instead of like 12, 4, 2, 25, 1. It seems like it's been the same payout for the longest time. I got like 6 at the USCGC for like 6 years in a row, and it never changed. It was always the same payout.
Sure.
First place changes all the time. So I would like to see that change, because I feel like the top 10 in the world are top 10 at these big tournaments, especially major championships and tournaments like this that have the huge accolades as far as being the biggest payout and stuff like that. I feel like the top 10 players at that tournament should be getting paid. Not as much as first place, but they should be getting paid significantly more than the rest of the field. Only because I feel like that's kind of the way it is in all sports. Top 10 is, in golf, like, nope. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say nobody really cares about anything else, but that's, when I'm at a major, that's my goal. If I have a bad first round, I'm trying to get back to the top 10. I'm trying to get back to, that has like significant meaning as far as me and stuff like that. But
interesting.
I don't know. It's a different. It's kind of a tricky subject at the same time.
Well, yeah.
Well, because you guys are fighting and clawing, and we're not making. No one's making millions,
and a lot of it is your own money from other golfers coming in. So you've got your guys. It's tough because you've your guys, and I'm not going to call them out, but like an AJ Risley, who I totally called him out, who might not consistently take top 10, but is a consistent tourer. It's very hard to keep those guys on the road.
Right.
If you're paying where he's taking, like, maybe let's say 10 to 15th, if they're not getting that. But I understand your point where the top 10 guys, those are the guys that are putting in a ton of work, and those are the ones that are very consistent, and keeping them on the road. Is that more important than keeping 10 to 15 or 10 to 20?
But that's
it's tough.
The thing. If the payouts were bigger for the top 10,
of
then
course.
the AJ Risley would have a good weekend and take 6th place, and he'd be able to financially tour for the next month because he took down these these great players.
Exactly.
And so that's kind of my point. I feel like I hate to make it sound like, oh, of course Ricky and Paul are going to make this much money because they're the best, or blah 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 blah. It's just the facts. They're so much better than the rest of the field. They're taking those 2 spots. Mm-hmm. But if I take one of them down, it's so it's so across the board with the payouts. I might take them down one weekend in a big tournament and it be 3,000, and then the next weekend take them down and it's 10,000.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're both major championships. Like there's no structure to the whole thing. And
but
of course, world championships and this and that. But so you win the world championships and you make, how much did Ricky make this year? $12,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Nate puts, 15 grand for the Ledgestone.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Like there's no balance. There's no, so then he has the best tournament. Like, there has to be something to be said about all that stuff. I feel like there should be more structure at the big ones as far as.
Sure.
Well,
but do you see? And I'm kind of trying to think and I don't know golf as well as I should, but would there be a big difference? Is it just because the amount of money we're getting is so minuscule compared to golf? Because if you have a golf major where you win 1.2 million and you win another one where you win 1.8 million. Nobody really has an issue.
No, of course not. And then your top 10's getting, $250,000. I'm sure they're pumped.
Exactly. Of course they're pumped, but I'm saying like they might not have a structure set up. Is it different than us? The only difference is the amount. You guys are scraping by when you win 12,000 one week and then 3,000 or 2,000 for another major. I know it's not usually as low as 2,000, but we'll say 3,000 to 5,000 for another major. I think it's just a scale that we're seeing that's different, but I understand where you're coming from.
Well, and it's certainly tough because we look at an event like Ledgestone, they generate more added cash than any other tournament on the planet. And so naturally, their payouts can be, no matter how they're structured, when you add them all up, their payouts are that much larger. And it's tough to say, well, this seems to be the standard of, we'll just make up a number, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000 for all these first place finishes. And then you go to an event that says, well, hey, we're giving out 9,000. It's like, well, you're not going to argue about them giving out the 9,000. Mm-hmm. But I think what you're saying, Paul, is there's a little bit of an inconsistency. And I think that comes back to what the event can possibly put on the table when it's all said and done.
Ultimately, you're right. I think we need 15 Nate Heinolds out there really busting.
He's our new he's on the board of directors, so he better guarantee 100,000 added to every tournament. And
as we know, every city's different.
Yes.
So
I think the entry fee should just be raised also to make the pots bigger. And I've been saying that for a long time, especially tournaments that generate so many players. Mm-hmm. Like, so say half of them, let's say we get 200 players that sign up for the Ledgestone next year at a $500 entry fee. You're going to have the same exact payout or more. You know what I mean? And
sure.
And you're going to see the same people at the tournaments.
Does that?
I mean,
I guess it's a philosophical question. If you have a bigger, let's say Nate has raised 40, how much did he raise this year? Like
probably over 100 or 200.
We'll
I don't know.
What was it? Like way over 100,000.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just say $100,000 Nate's raised.
Additional.
Sure.
Additional. Does that diminish that $100,000 when now the entry fees are $500? I mean, obviously money's money and it's all great. Don't get me wrong, but does it look different when you're adding 100,000 and the entry fees for everyone is 500, as opposed to adding 100,000 and your entry fee is 125 versus 150 or whatever Ledgestone happens to be this year? I mean, the money, it doesn't look like as much, and I'm the first to say money is money. Show me the money. So, but do you feel that diminishes the amount raised, or do you think we'd be able to maybe raise more?
I think, I'm not so sure about that. I think one of my main things with saying raise the entry fee mm-hmm. was almost directed in another way towards like smaller tournaments and stuff like that, just to build to. I think it came from, I was talking to a person overseas and I said, why don't you guys pay more? Basically, like if you look overseas, they were telling me that they're filling up tournaments in 8 seconds. 8 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the winner's getting like €400. And the reason I bring up this topic is that I was over there. I saw more talent this year than I ever have. As far as like kids, I played with this kid, Vino, who was just an amazing golfer, is super young. they're just all over out there. You know, Timo Neeson and all these guys, but they have such a short year. It's almost impossible for them to even think about making a living doing this, because if they want to play a tournament every weekend in their season, they're spending so much money.
Really?
You know, gas over there is extremely expensive. If you have a job, you're taking that, you know, the time off or whatnot. But I feel like that's a big problem over there. For some reason, the entry fees aren't enough, and that they don't have a situation to where they're going to be able to support a professional disc golf like a kid who wants to go on the road. Like, if I wanted to, I could stay home and play, you know, B tiers all year and make a good amount of money.
Like your brother.
They can't even do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just kind of wanted to bring that topic up and see how you guys felt about it.
I think I would love to see, I don't think you need to raise entry fees for, I'll say A tiers and below. And A tier is kind of that cusp, but maybe certain A tiers or not. But I definitely would love to see the amount raised for World Tour events, Pro Tour events, majors, and NTs. I think those for sure. I'd love to see a minimum of a $250 entry fee for those. Maybe even $300 or $400, like you said, because that would really, I think it could draw better attention to our sport with the bigger payouts, and it would set them in a higher class of event. I think just your entry fee alone being that high could lift the event's stature. And I agree with you. I think those bigger events should have larger entry fees to get in. And of course, as we all say, the tiered entry where, you know, your 1,020 rated players can register before anybody else, and we see it like that. I would like to see the bigger, more prestigious events raise their entry fee.
Well, and a discussion's going on the board talking about, Paul, you had just said, if there was a higher entry fee and so on and so forth. I look at it as then, well, will a sponsor, someone had asked, well, how many people pay for their own entry fees versus, you know, their sponsors that pay for them? And if we took the top 10 people at Ledgestone this week, I'm going to guess 9 out of those 10 probably had their entry fee paid for. That's just a guess. Maybe it's 7, maybe it's 9, maybe it's 10 out of the 10. But to follow that up, if we raised an entry fee instead of being $200, and let's just say arbitrarily it goes to $500, is a Prodigy or an Innova or a Discraft going to say, oh, yeah, Paul, I'm covering all your entry fees this year. That's what we do. Oh, they're $500? You know, they're literally 2 or 3 times more. I guess the question I put on the board is, at that point, is the sponsor or the manufacturer just raising the ante for you to go gamble with? And why would they want to, maybe, not why should they, would they want to just continue to throw in more money? At that point, I'd say, well, just give me the guaranteed difference, you know what I mean, versus, hey, you're going to go play in a tournament.
And I think I'm going to interrupt, but I think it all depends on the sponsor. Maybe the sponsor hands somebody, hey, here's $5,000 this year for entry fees. Go play. Or does the sponsor say, we're going to cover your entry fees? It's the same thing 2 different ways. So if the player wants to spend that in $500, that's fine. If the player doesn't go to those major events, doesn't perform well, the sponsor the next year or even maybe that year will look at it and go, you didn't represent us like we asked or like we wanted. You don't get this, or you get a lower amount next year. What are your thoughts, Paul?
Yeah, you know, I guess it comes down to the game's kind of small still. And I guess I'm kind of talking for myself. Like, I would pay the entry fee no matter what event if I had to do it myself, because obviously I feel like I'm going to play well. I'm going to make the money back.
Yeah.
And you're a gambler.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, but as far as like manufacturers and stuff, the game's growing. They're going to have to pay for the entry fees. It's just part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way it is in all sports. If you're sponsored by that, they shouldn't expect you to have to pay to advertise for them.
Yeah, and I think sponsors should be, you know, this is obviously me speaking for sponsors, they should be covering those type of events where you have the big entry fees. I don't necessarily think a sponsor should cover all your B tier events you go to, or your local, if you're playing in February at your local Phoenix event, no. But I think they should look at it and go, oh, the Pro Tour is a thing. We're going to pay for your Pro Tour. We're going to pay for your National Tour, your majors, and your World Tour events if you decide to travel, and maybe give you that stipend or amount and say, this is what we're covering for you. Any other events, those are on you. Or, there's all sorts of sponsors, and they all handle it different ways, but that's what I would like to see out of our sponsors. So
I remember back in the day, I had a sponsor who would pay the entry fee, and if I didn't cash, I didn't have to pay it back. But if I cashed, I had to pay back the entry fee.
Sure.
And I like that. As a smaller company and as somebody who wanted to help support someone, I love that model, and I think I've even offered that to people in some capacity or in some some way back in the day. I think that's a great model.
I think that's a really
I do too, especially for the lower caliber of professional.
So real quick, I just got to say, Retluff Ulks, I don't know. He says, "Hey Paul, it's Eli. See you Thursday." I did a super chat, so I wanted to give you the shout out. That was from a while ago. Do you know Eli?
I do.
Okay.
All
well,
right, good. Well, he's going to see you on Thursday.
See you on Thursday. Go on.
Are you going to have one of our favorite locals caddying for you this weekend, Alan Stewart? Is he going to be there?
He is making the trip. He should be here Thursday. Okay. Hopefully, he'll be here in time for my first round, but he might be coming in Thursday night, so he'll be on the bag Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He is coming in.
Awesome. Very cool. Yep. Lots of representation, obviously nationwide, but of course you're going to see a pretty thick attendance coming out of Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, regional. But this event with 950 people, it's able to draw from all over. One of the things that I thought was awesome, seeing on the board, teeing off, I think you said just before you or after you, KJ Nybo is going to be in town, so that's pretty great to see.
Yeah, it's good to see him coming over from overseas. He just got done playing the European Championships also, so it's good to see him come over. I'm surprised more people aren't going to make the trip, but I think after they see maybe how much money KJ takes home this week, we might see a few more in the future for sure.
Probably just a few $100 less than what you're going to take home, you think?
Yeah, man, I hope. KJ is a great player. I expect him to play really well, but if I'm playing good, it ain't happening.
All right. Eli also says that they may be able to caddy on Thursday if they need to fill in, so that might be an offer on the table. So very cool. What about some of the extracurriculars at Ledgestone? The Festival of Flying Disc, the Pro Tour is officially back at it for kind of the second leg of the year, the concluding leg of the year. Lots of things going on around there. Can you keep it all straight? Do you know where you're going? Do you have extracurriculars planned, that type of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, with 900 players, it's going to be pretty crazy. There's going to be a lot of action going on all over the place. But I'm going to try to keep it on the down low and probably not do a lot this week. Try to stay focused for the tournament.
Yeah, that's kind of your MO for majors and big events. You tend to just do your thing and a little bit more of a conservative nightlife guy.
Absolutely. These events are important, and especially being the biggest payout of the entire year, I'm going to take it as serious as possible.
Following weekend, it's one of the few possible holes in my schedule, which means that there's got to be a decision for where you might be traveling, maybe even a weekend off, probably not, but next weekend, dare I ask, what's your plan? Are you going to maybe a Titan Open, or where are you going? Do you know?
No, I am heading home. I actually got in a small car accident on my way home from the Beaver State Fling and had to put my car in the shop, and so I'm gonna go home, take care of a few things, and pick up my car and head up to Kentucky. So it's most likely going to be a week off. I'm gonna try my best to take a week off.
Well, and that's why I say it. I know I talked to Matt Schlebach. He's got some serious added cash. This will be a little Iowa plug. He's got a great event going on, and he's kind of disappointed he's not seeing more of the top guns come out and fight for that cash over at the Titan Open. And then, as you said, we're right back with the Pro Tour over in Idlewild. A lot of people are excited about that. Again, a great course. And then Pittsburgh follows, and Vibram follows, and Nantucket or Greater Hartford, Smugs. Like the next 5 or 6 to 8 weeks, or as Paul Macbeth put it, like the next 11 weeks, I think he said, just grinding super hard. Lots of big events.
Yeah, and that's part of my decision for, I could definitely go home, grab my car, come back, play the Titan Open, and I still might do it. You never know. But
I might need a roommate.
Are you going to the Titan?
But
We'll see.
I definitely could use the week off, especially going into this huge stretch. So many tournaments in a row, and big tournaments too. They're not just these little small tournaments we're going to be playing over the next 2-3 months. So I'm going to try my best to take the week off. I might not, but I did take my first break ever this year and skip the Masters Cup and a couple tournaments during that stretch, and it did me really well. So I do have to remember that too.
Well, just what you do is just show up and just take their mini golf money. Make a few bucks on the
Hustle.
side, but
Hustle it hard.
A little hustling.
I could do that. I could go on the grindstone on the mini golf.
The mini golf grind tour.
You round up $500 entries. Play around a mini golf.
Do it.
That's play around a mini golf, and I will be the first to film it, either me or live.
We'll do it live.
We go live. We'll make that happen.
Intense mini golf, man.
It would be. Just think of the actual pressure. I mean, everyone's out having fun playing mini golf. You have $500 on the round, like that would be awesome.
Yeah, like $3,000 for the winner.
I guarantee you, some of you guys show up with your own putters. It's like, oh no, I brought my own.
But that's not mini golf, man. You gotta use those things they got at the front. Pick your own ball.
Yeah, the big orange ball. I know. Trust me, I hate them because they're all so short for me. Every time I feel like I'm just a giant. Every time I need to bend over and hit a ball. So
you are a giant.
Well, I am. But yeah, that's why I don't golf in general.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about the skip ace and picks and where things are at. Quick disclaimer, I've officially given up. I missed a weekend again somehow because I forgot, and now I might as well just never log in again this year. But go on.
We can log in again.
No, I have lost, unfortunately, personally, I've just lost all interest. I think once you miss a weekend or two, it then just makes it, and it's all on me. But
I feel like it's my fault. I haven't been on. I haven't been keeping us all motivated. And
yeah, I'll give that. It's Yuli's fault.
I'll take the blame for this, but it was kind of almost. It was almost on purpose because I knew you would completely give up, and I knew it would be an easy win.
That's true. You can.
Wow.
He gets one. He starts out the game last year.
I get that win. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, so we're looking at. I'll recap some scores. You did not pick the Brent Hambrick, Terry.
I don't think I picked the last 2 weeks.
No, I think.
No.
Oh no, you're right. You missed European Open as well. Sorry, Terry. So
Such
just
a disappointment.
You really are. So what we can do is, if we want, we can update. I mean, we can go for an overall, or we could do. We can try to get Paul. We've been screaming that we need Paul on more frequently. We could do like a little week by week thing and make it a weekly pick, and then have an overall that you're not going to be involved in. But we could make it a little more interesting for every week. Maybe put a little, just something simple like $1 side bet, just to. Terry loves to bet money, or $500, and film it live. So
you literally quit. I will take your $500 in a heartbeat.
No, again, I'm sorry. I think I logged in or thought about the European event like as it was being played, like that very first round or something. And then
I've picked like 5 players who don't even exist. I don't think.
Well, that's expected by you. And from there, it took all wind out of my sails.
Yeah, well, we'll
go on. Anyway,
we'll go from. Maybe we'll start playing from here on out a little bit. We've got this big 11-week streak coming up, and there's not breaks, and that's the hard part. Is there are breaks in the tour, and we do run into some lulls where it's like, oh, guess what? There's not an event for 3 weeks because everybody's flying over to Europe, and there's just not a good event to pick. So
let's do a 10-week pick'ems for us 3 and other people if they want to play.
Sure,
we can. And let's put a little money on it. So
Ooh, I'm down with that.
so that we have to do it, and Terry can't quit.
Well, he could still
Well, he
quit, but
can't
we'll
quit.
take his money.
Yeah, I'll take his money. That's fine.
So what we'll do is we'll consider we'll do a 10 event run here. We'll continue with the Yuli's picks, of course, because we got a lot of viewers out there that are still diehard and playing and brag about playing well. Right now in the lead is the Doc 1876 with
The Doc.
The Doc.
Congrats, man.
The Doc is
1876,
kicking
I
some
love
butt at 7,365 points. I'm currently in 6th place with 7,200 points. I've been keeping up here. Yuli, you are in 29th place with 6,900 points, and Terry, we need to scroll down a little bit. He is. That's the wrong guy. He's in 54th. Like you said, you haven't picked for a couple weeks. But we'll continue with this, but we'll also do a 10-week run. We'll put some money on the side. Some funny money, of course, not real money. We don't really gamble at SmashBoxx.
No.
And we'll make it interesting. I'll see what I can do on the site. Maybe we can
All right. That would get me back
that would
into
get you
caring.
Yeah, Terry
We need you back, man.
we
All right,
definitely
all
need you back.
right.
And it'll keep us more in contact with Yuli. You've got a fun and tough grind ahead of you, and I'm really curious to see how. One of the things that people said that they want to see more of is tour life, not necessarily golf, but Monday through Wednesday. You know, what are you doing other than traveling? How do you keep your mind occupied?
Hanging out with
It's
guy.
Dutch.
Batman. What's up, buddy?
Batman.
It's the only way Batman's getting on SmashBoxx.
Yeah, you come out of the Bat Cave.
I can't hear him.
Oh, he
I
can't.
know, I
Oh,
got
he
him
can't
on.
hear us.
I got-
That's right.
oh,
'cause
he
of the
can't
He
headphones.
can't hear.
Well, we're
Here you
saying
go. He
hello,
said, what up, though?
and we're
Hope you guys see you this week.
all right. We'll see you tomorrow, buddy.
That's awesome. So are you staying at Dutch's house right now? No?
I probably Dutch's house for the week. I'm at the Best Western in Morton, so I'm
yes,
actually in the
that's right. No,
business
Dutch is
center.
from Tennessee area. Kentucky? Tennessee? Where's Dutch from?
Kentucky.
Kentucky. I knew it was one of those states over there. So, yeah. All right. Well, awesome.
Well,
Dutch didn't bring any of his 27 kids. It's just him.
I'm sure. He brought some
They
people.
just show up. And every time Dutch shows up someplace, there's another kid. Dutch is one of the great guys in disc golf. For those of you that don't know, he is a sweetheart and just.
And he's got a SmashBoxxTV tattoo.
He's got a SmashBoxx tattoo, which not many people or just him probably.
I think
have.
he's the only one.
He's our diehard core fan.
Yeah.
So
We love you, Dutch.
We do love Dutch.
So yeah, we'll look forward to having you a little bit more frequently. And what would be great is if we can't get you on the show, specifically on Tuesday nights, I'm going to probably see you at like 9 out of the next 10 events or 10 out of the next 12 or whatever. I'm going to be seeing you quite a bit, and we'll be sure to catch up and then have some segments that we can get posted and talk about. So,
Absolutely, and I'm gonna make it a point to have my nights open
awesome.
for SmashBoxx. Again, I will do my best.
I wouldn't be
And,
doing my job if I didn't
It's not often we do our jobs.
give you guys a little bit of the business. What's going on with your two Joe Schmo Clown Town? I don't know what it is. What's going on with your other podcast?
Well, we haven't even it's not. That's what I'm saying. It's not just you. I haven't done anything. I've been so busy and out of sorts lately trying to, I started the season off terribly for myself, and I had to kind of refocus, and that takes a lot of my time. And I know it's like, oh, you can't take an hour at night or whatever, but no, I can't. You guys, I just can't do it.
No, and again, I wouldn't be doing my job if I'm not throwing out a little jab at our friends over at Disc Golf Answer Man or at Final Round Town Radio or whatever they are, and then your two schmoes and a cup of Joe or whatever you guys do. So it's just my little fun way of giving a jab out there, because I went out to the site, or I think maybe the Facebook page or something, and I saw like 5 or 6 straight episodes in 6 straight weeks, and that was 2 months ago. And I was like, you guys get caught up, and I know how that goes for sure. So
yeah.
So
It's tough to do all that kind of stuff, and like I said, I apologize. It's I could be definitely better about it, and I'm going to try to be better about it. So
We'll get it.
You got lots of stuff going on. We do realize that. Real quick, I know you said Germ stayed overseas to do that. Was that kind of a last moment thing? What or was that something he had kind of in the works?
We were kind of playing darts, and somebody mentioned that there was a couple tournaments, and maybe you should stay. And he's like, "Hey, I think I'm going to stay." You know, just a Germ moment.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden he was dropping out of all these tournaments, and he's down there, man. He's still there.
Well,
who knows if he's even coming back?
He might be getting residency in one of those
other countries.
Yeah.
Well, and
I don't even know if he knows how to come back. Like,
where's that damn travel ban when we need it?
He can't. We know he can't.
I don't understand. I don't know how to get back home.
We know he can't ride a bike, so can he really?
I know he's gonna struggle in some of these other countries if he can't ride a bike either.
Oh my God.
That might be a major form of transportation over there in some places.
Man.
But no, it's great because when you think of some of your most traveled players, obviously you think of like a Dave Felberg, who's played arguably in more countries than anyone else competitively. You think of your Avery Jenkins, who's constantly out there, either in a competitive mode and or an ambassador type role. Those are two of your most well-traveled
Right.
in terms of international places and destinations. And when Germ's got this opportunity, whether it's through sponsorship or friendships or a combination of them, take it all in. Sexton,
Absolutely.
obviously now is going to have a slightly different lifestyle, as he should with a newborn, and some of those changes when they take place, you may not have that time to go back and reclaim some of those things. So it's awesome that Big Germ's taking advantage of what he can. Very cool to see.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Wherever the big lug is, I hope he's having a good time.
Can he survive without any other U.S. assistance?
No.
I
There's
do
no
fret
way.
for him just a little. When I was on at the Nantucket event, you and him, and last year I was thinking, I don't know that this guy should be left alone.
Is he one of the is he one of the more helpless players on tour?
There's a good question.
He is the most helpless
the
player
most helpless player
I've ever met.
Let me quote that. He is the most helpless player I've ever met. Okay.
I kind of want to have. Maybe we'll do this with you some night. Is just. Like just throw things almost like a high school yearbook, like most likely to get thrown in jail for the night or things like that, and find out who on tour you think fits these categories. So
it'd be a funny number for me to actually ask him how many hotels he's actually booked for himself. Like, how many times have you actually been like, I'm going to book this, and this is my travel plan, and I'm going to get my rental car, and I'm going to go by myself.
So he tours with, was it Brady Hanna and Austin Turner? Who organizes that? Like, it seems like, do they just make Austin do that? He's the young guy on tour.
There's no way Austin does it.
He's like he's 18. I wouldn't not that he can't be a responsible 18-year-old, but that's not something you'd think that like being.
He's not the veteran.
Yeah, you'd think being the senior man on tour.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure Germ does it. I'm just giving him a hard time. I'm sure he's.
I know. I hope he watches at some point.
He gets the job done. He's out there doing it, man.
That's funny.
Anything we should be looking out for? I think we've covered the weather. We've covered your first card. We've talked a little bit about payout situations. We've talked about the course and your accolades for the course. Is there anything else that would encapsulate or be part of the official Ledgestone preview? I'm probably not going to see you third. Oh no, you'll be available. Will you be the gambling man you are? Will you grab $20 or so and go try and win a $10,000 ace on Thursday? Will I see you out there Thursday afternoon?
Of course, I will be trying to win $10,000 for sure. And this is the first time I've actually heard of this, so I don't even know what you're talking about.
What? Okay.
I'll
break it down for you.
If it's $20 to win $10,000.
So here's the deal. No, it's only $5. That's the best part. So
Terry will charge you 20.
Yes. On Thursday.
Right.
From 3 to 8 p.m. out at Sunset Hills Golf Course, from 3 to 8 p.m., anyone that's registered and is a competitor for the tournament, yourself included, you pay $5 for a single throw, And if you ace hole 18, which I heard is 380, plays more like 340, slightly downhill. If you ace that, it has an insurance policy taken out, all that other stuff. If it gets aced, that is a $10,000 hole-in-one. And if there are more than one, they split throughout the day, if that were to happen. If there are two or whatever, they evenly split throughout the day.
And you can throw as many shots as you want.
There is, you can throw as many shots as you'd like. It's $5 a throw.
Yeah, I will be there.
Okay. I will be recording, and yeah.
What's the number for you? Like, how many do you think, like, do you see yourself like, I'm going to drop $50, I'm going to get 10
It depends
throws?
on the shot.
Sure.
If I really feel like I could ace the thing, I might drop like $50 or something.
Sure. Okay. I just didn't know if there was like a magic number where, you know, a return on investment, so to speak, where it just gets to a point where it's not worth it, whether you're pot committed or something along those lines. So.
Right.
Yeah. Like, all right, I'm good. I'm
yeah.
done.
If it seems like a shot that I have dialed in, or I have a disc that I feel like I can do it with, I'll definitely spend some money to try to. What kind of basket is it?
I don't recall what they have out there.
There's the trick right there.
They're mock
I'm just kidding.
.5s, so they're from 1978. No, honestly,
well, what about that?
a skill shot.
That is one thing that I was wondering. The Ledgestone has these chain stars, and they're not supposed to be approved for the
Pro Tour.
But I heard because they are donating $10,000 to St. Jude, they gotta pass.
That I'll say that we're gonna call it Steve Dodge a little bit. I think that has been one of his biggest mistakes this year was coming out and saying these are our baskets that we have approved for this tour, except for these events. And I just think that he set himself up for a little bit of failure
or scrutiny
PR wise when it comes to that. I wish he just would have said these are maybe our preferred baskets, or these are, you know, and labeled whatever ones, because we knew coming into this that Ledgestone has these particular baskets. And
I don't mind it. I think he's on point with it, and I think that if he's going to grant something like this for something as good as $10,000 for St. Jude, I don't think anybody should have a problem with it now.
No, I just think by setting himself up early in the season by proclaiming that these are the approved Pro Tour baskets, and then having two events where they're not using those baskets, he set himself up for a little bit of failure there.
Right.
And I've got no problem with what baskets they use for any particular course for the most part. I know following you around for that doubles round, I heard some wonderful opinions on baskets. And I understand the complaints, but I just wish he hadn't particularly done that in the beginning of the season.
Right.
Yeah, and we had a whole conversation about that, as I think it was Jamie Mosier who had gotten vocal, talking about just that over at the Fiesta Lakes course, and because they had chain stars and those weren't, and we discussed all of that topic, and like you said, there is this component of fundraising that's attached to it, but yeah, we'll see how that unfolds.
You put enough money up there, we'll play on marksman or tone poles or whatever you put out there.
And we all know it's not just necessarily about, you know, just that big payoff either. But
he does have a brand he has to protect, and his word.
Very much so.
For sure. So.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm trying to just keep up on, see if anyone's got anything else out here on the list. Jessica Weiss's mom, Sherry, is out on the board. Sherry, as I said, we talked about Jessica's. She was the champion, as you were, Paul. You saw she had a pretty stout victory. Did she cruise in on that one? 14 strokes. Is that what we saw?
Yeah, she played really well. It looked like it was close in the first two rounds, and then she kind of did what she was supposed to do and pulled away from the field. You know, one of the cool things about the Brant Hambrick, you know, it has such rich tradition with some of the things that they do there. They have their Final Nine that you can always look forward to. And during the Final Nine, the top three women actually play alongside the men, or the men play alongside the women in the Final Nine. And so I got to see her, and I think Rebecca Cox made the Final Nine also. Mm-hmm. And so I got to see the top three women play, and yeah, she definitely played well. So
yeah, it is great to see. And when I think of Sunset Hills, I immediately think of Jessica.
her almost ace.
Yeah, was that last year or 2 years ago? I believe that was
I think it was last year. Her splash
last
out.
year. Yeah,
Yep.
she downhill, was that 13 or 12 or 17 somehow, straight down a pipe with a forehand, just smashing the chains, and then it just plopped out and fell out, unfortunately. But it was an awesome ace run that she had. So sure, she'd love to see some of that. Now the women, and I'm not fully versed on this, but I know the women are playing a different set of courses other than the Eureka course. They're over at Sunset Hills, I know, at one point this weekend. I'm not sure where else they're playing, though, so maybe I shouldn't bother bringing it up because I don't know what I'm talking about yet. Maybe somebody else on the board can chime in, but I know they're not going to be playing exclusively out at the Lake Eureka course like you guys will be, so we'll see how that kind of varies with the scores. And then also a little PSA, some of the other divisions are just competing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so not all divisions play Thursday through Sunday. Quite a few, in fact, play just Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So just throwing that out there so everyone knows kind of what to expect. Someone asked about post-production coverage. Like Johnny mentioned earlier, we're a little bit out of the swing at the moment, but we assume there's going to be some Central Coast and some Jomez and maybe some Marty McFly from Prodigy, or a combination of some or all or bits and pieces of those, along with Smashbox Live each day. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday will be live.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, you guys are going to be able to see it all. See it all unfold, all the drama and the aces and the big putts.
Watch Yuli run away with it.
Oh, it's not even going to be close.
Oh, my gosh. How many... What's a whooping these days? If you were to dish one out, when would you feel like, yeah, I whoop them? Like
over 6 strokes, I
six.
think you gave a nice whooping. For sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Six is the number.
6 is the
Six
whooping
is
number.
if you win by 5, it's like, oh yeah, you played good. But if you win by 6, you're like, it wasn't even close.
Okay. Six
is the whooping.
Am I right though?
Sure. I mean, does it matter if that's over 4 rounds versus 3? You're playing 4 rounds. That's an average of 1.5 strokes.
6 is the number.
It doesn't matter if it's 1 round or 7 rounds.
If
6
you win
is
by
a whooping.
6.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ricky Flock asked if there'll be any smash cuts for this tourney. Is that something that's back on the debate table?
No, I mean, we have permission to do the smash cuts. We will see how the rounds go and how long they are when they end up. If it does turn out to be a 4.5 to 5 hour round, I will do my best. So I don't have any plans not to, but
When are you guys getting out here?
I will be rolling to town tomorrow. I'm going to pick up one of our cameramen, Chad, pick him right off the highway on 94.
Terry's up for $500 a round with you, just so you know.
No. So then it looks like we're going to be in East Peoria. So the last couple of years I've either been at Nate Heinold's or in Washington. It looks like the crew will be over in East Peoria. So it's about 20-25 minutes from the course, but it should work out pretty well. So yeah, we'll be in town tomorrow. We talked earlier, and we'll remind everyone now, there is a really fun fundraiser taking place for doubles tomorrow night. Ricky, Paige, Doss, and Valerie Jenkins, Nate Doss and Valerie Jenkins. And then if you buy raffle tickets and you're in the crowd, you get pulled out for a hole. You go out and you play best shot doubles with them. If you win the hole outright, I think, you will win some stuff, and then all money goes again back to St. Jude. So
it's great.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, awesome thing they came up with for an awesome cause. That's really, I really love that idea.
And now I don't want to spoil it entirely, but I know there are some talks that we've had with some very, very specific and reputable and driven people that are talking about how we could see hopefully putting the St. Jude effort and fundraising back on the map, really, and get it back on track for next year. So that should be pretty exciting as well. I'm sure you'll be involved with that.
Absolutely.
I know you were passionately involved with it in the past, and I'm looking forward to kind of that getting revived. This year was a little bit of a year off, and I think next year it's going to have a full-blown revival.
Good.
So
I think that's important.
We'll have more as we move forward into that as well. So
awesome.
All right, I'm looking forward. I'll probably see you tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening at some point. Maybe we'll be running into one another. You got anything else you want to share with everyone on Smashbox tonight yet?
No, that's it, man. Thank you guys for having me back on. I was happy to be here, and to all you Smashies out there, I'll see you guys soon.
All right, pal. Thank
Awesome.
you. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow and the rest of the week, buddy.
Absolutely, guys.
All right,
Thanks
have a good
again.
night.
Thanks.
Peace.
All right, again, Paul Ulibarri joining us, not only a regular on the show when we can get him, but also victorious this last weekend
He
at the
doesn't
Brent
need to win
Hambrick.
to get on. I
No.
mean, we've been asking him for weeks and weeks and weeks to come on, and just finally now he's starting. Things are kind of starting. They're starting to slow down for him, but now just they're going to speed up. So I'm hoping that he kind of can take the time on his Tuesday nights to come join us. And
Just getting a little refocused.
Yep.
He'll be back.
he'll be back.
He'll
I'm
be
not
back with us
concerned about it.
as much as possible. So love having Paul on the show. Obviously, very well-traveled, well-rounded, and very gifted golfer out there. So he's got a lot of different things he brings to the table when he joins us, and we absolutely love having him. So
I like talking with Paul, particularly all sorts of different things, not just event results and stuff like that, because I think he has a good perspective in general on the sport, where what he wants to see out of the sport and other sports as well.
Yeah.
He's a well-rounded sports guy, we'll say.
yeah, he follows a lot, and he's also very, very driven and competitive, and we see that when he's out hustling people on the mini golf course or playing basketball or cards or whatever else, darts and some of the other things that he does. So it's going to be great to see.
Yeah. Some other PDGA news that we have. I'm going to go through this real quick. This isn't there isn't much here, but they are now offering a divisional doubles at the Pro Master Worlds in August. So this month, August 12th, which is actually obviously not this weekend, but next weekend will be the Pro Masters event. So if you want to compete, they have a whole list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 different divisions you can sign up for.
Holy cow.
Yeah, apparently. So your team will compete in MPM, MPG, MPS, MPL, MPE, MPR, FPM, FPG, FPS, and FPL. So
I wonder how many,
and
not only, before
I
we
know,
guess, how
I
many
know.
female pro legends competitors are there, and then
for divisional doubles.
are there enough to then make doubles?
I don't know, but if there is, you are welcome to sign up. You can find that information out on the PDGA website. So if you go to pdga.com, it's right there under the news. But if you're interested, I'm sure I would like to. I'll be curious to see what kind of turnout this gets, because clearly it wasn't planned originally. If they just announced it on Thursday, that maybe they had some inquiries as to if that was going to be available. So that's out there for those of you who are interested.
All right. Funny. Well, I guess we'll save it. Remind me to save. I got a couple Cubs related items that are not just about them being in the divisional, first place in the division. Not even that. Some other funny, interesting things, including something I just saw on Facebook. So remind me to talk a little bit. I guess that's more after show fodder, so we'll discuss it there. I'm trying to catch up with the board and see if there's anything else on there that we need, and it doesn't seem like there's anything pressing or critical. As many of you know, we work with the regular show, well, as regular as it can be, as our normal podcast. At some point, we kind of split off, go into an after show where we discuss things that may or may not be disc golf related. Things like our players, our various men's hairstyles is usually maybe more after show fodder, but nonetheless, we talk about things that are both disc golf and not disc golf related, get into odds and ends, and we also interact with the live chat found on the YouTube chat board. So if you're interested in that, and we will be doing a giveaway, or we'll be giving away some great stuff if you are a Patreon supporter of ours. So
if you would like to be a Patreon supporter, you can go to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. Give any amount. You can sign up, and that goes directly back out to the show and help us out. Terry doesn't even know this. I bought a new mixer.
Oh,
So
why did you do that?
Because it will give me more flexibility, and it's a very nice mixer. It was like $100, so I'm excited for it, and it gives me more options for using our mixing program vMix. I bought a new audio mixer for that, so I'm excited to mess with that. It came in today. It's got some really, really good reviews. It's another Behringer, just like we have here, and I want to get that set up sometime this week and mess around. So
Hopefully just in time to screw it up for our show.
no, it won't be. We don't use
I know.
Thankfully, we don't use the mixing board for the broadcasts at all. So that comes directly. All that audio comes directly from the cameras and from you. So the mixing board isn't even messed up.
And also worth noting, out on the board right now, Cool One says the female pro open division will be at Northwoods Thursday and Saturday. No Smashbox, and I would hope to be to correct you in saying the plan hopefully is to do what we've done at all the other Pro Tour stops, which is to film the women during their slightly earlier round in the morning, to film them, then have it edited down into smaller clips. Usually Steve Dodge takes care of that, and then those get fed up to Johnny V, and then those get fed into the broadcast as we are producing the live show. So although there will be at a different course and there's going to add an extra challenge or two, we'll find a way to work through it.
Because have we done one where they've been at a different course?
We kind of have. And
I couldn't remember. I was trying to think the other day if we've shown that, because it is a different, it's going to be a weird feeling watching these three, we'll just say open men throw a particular hole, and then, hey, let's cut over to the women, and it's a completely different hole.
Correct. That's where I think what could be useful is the fact that through usually me filming it and or Steve Dodge editing it, if we happen to be on the mic during the live broadcast, I'll be able to say, oh, yeah, let's check out hole 4. When we come back, I'll be able to remember and say, oh, yeah, so-and-so hit a long putt on that, whatever. Hopefully, so hopefully there's some of that tied together. But, yes, it is a little bit different seeing that they're going to be playing different courses. But it's kind of cool in the sense that not only, A, you're watching the women's footage, but, B, you're seeing another entirely additional course that's being used at that event. So I guess you could look at it both ways. Jake had asked if there's thoughts on playing the same course 4 times in a row. They do it at the Ledgestone. I'm sorry, at the Ledgestone. They do it at the Vibram. We did it in Arkansas. In fact, that's kind of the method that Steve Dodge and the Pro Tour and a lot of our biggest events have kind of moved. USDGC plays 4 rounds. Now they switch up a few of the pins, I've realized.
That's what I'd like to see a little bit more of, I think, especially in the Pro Tour. Same hole, just move the pin. Maybe have the first 2 rounds, we'll just say, a slightly shorter layout. Maybe shorten each hole 50, 40, 50 feet into a different position, and then for the last 2 holes, lengthen it out, move the pin just a little bit, kind of like they do in golf, adjust your green, just for a little bit of variety. And I know that makes for caddy books to be a huge pain in the butt, but I think it can be accomplished, with a little bit of extra work. I would just like to see that kind of variety.
As Trevor just says, the Beast gets played 4 times in a row. Again, that's more common, and Danny Lindell on the board says that's a lot less practice as well. I think about this great event I just covered in Des Moines. They played 3 amazing courses, but that also means they had to practice 3 amazing courses and dial all of those in individually. And here, anytime you're reducing that makes the practice time not only less, but less strenuous and a little bit more manageable. Especially when we're trying to attract these touring players that may not otherwise get out there all the time. So there's certainly some advantages. Variety, though, or boredom or variety, some might say. Sure, I could understand. I mean, you have, if a course, for instance, is set up in a particular style and you play that all 4 rounds, you may be missing out on an entirely different style of golf. And that I would say could be one of the drawbacks. But there's a little give and take. From our end, again, selfishly from SmashBox, it's a course that we know has great signal. It's a course that now I've been at 3 years in a row. Our cameramen become more familiar with it year after year. So there's a lot of those advantages too, or good places to stand or not, and signal issues. All those things get factored in. So again, that goes to the advantage side of being at one place. So. Plus, we can always say, oh, yeah, I watched so-and-so throw it out of bounds here yesterday, and today they adjusted, and, so you have some of those things.
He threw it out of bounds again still.
Exactly. What the F is he doing? What is he doing? Why does he keep doing that? So, and as for the cards, I didn't take a good look at the cards just yet. I know we briefly discussed those with Uli, just 1 or 2 cards. I did not look at, I was editing every moment today, so I did not get a chance to look at the cards, but I'm excited to take a peek myself and see how those might play out. So. All right, guys.
I was going to say, do we want to quickly, before we go, I forgot I had one more thing I pulled up. The PDGA Player and Rookie of the Year statistics were updated.
Okay, let's get it.
So I'm looking right now here. All players obviously must be PDGA members to be included in these calculations. Right now, men's players and Rookies of the Year standing, it says here for July 2017. Ranked number 1, Ricky Wysocki with 202 points. Number 2 is Paul McBeth with 186 points. And then there's a huge drop-off,
massive
120-point difference. Number 3 is Chris Dickerson at 65 points and Nate Sexton at 65 points. Chris Dickerson's at 65.7, but it's very, very close between those two, obviously. And then Johnny McRae at 63 points. So we see Ulibarri mentioned it himself. We see a definite, not just in ratings, but player of the year statistic, all that stuff, delineation between those two guys. So Ricky and Paul are standing out above and beyond everybody else. Women's players and rookies of the year. Actually, hold on. Let me scroll down. It looks like the rookie. I'm assuming the rookie of the year is in green here, or the rookie is green. Yeah, rookie of the year. The first one for MPO is Brendan Tetloff in 41st place with what looks to be. Is that 17 points? 17 points. And then Grady Shue in 53rd place with 13 points. So it doesn't seem like there's been a huge push for rookies this year in general up at the top of the leaderboard. Now we're going to talk about the women's players and rookies of the year. Leading, hands down, crushing the field by 120 points is Paige Pierce. She could probably not play another event this year and still at least make it close. Followed up by second place, Katrina Allen at 124 points. And then the forever young Elaine King at 105 points. So those are our top 3 women's players of the year right now. The leading rookie, is in 12th place. That's Autumn Grace out of Chester, Virginia. Followed up by Christy Moore in 19th place with 26 points out of Reynoldsburg, Ohio. So
Christy, a recent SmashBoxxTV Patreon winner, and should have even received her disc a few days ago.
Hope so.
And goods. Thank you for being a supporter, Christy.
Yep. It says, okay, so just they give a little clarification here. You can go out there and find how each points for the U.S. major finishes, Worlds, USDGC, US WDGC. For first place, you get 30 points. Second place, 18, 16, 14. So there is a significant amount for taking first place, which is why Paige is crushing the field. So you get an extra, 12 points as opposed to beating, between first and second versus 2 points for second and third. National Tour finishes have a 25 to 18 point ratio. A tiers, it's 15 to 8. So you can go out there. There's bonus points that can be followed for different categories. A lot of that stuff's in there. There's a great formula out there. You can find that at the PDGA website as well.
Okay. Well, I meant to ask Paul, and I'll have to save it for a future question, if he feels, because I had a follow-up in the car just a day or two ago, if Paul Ulibarri feels like my $100 bet that Paul Macbeth won't finish outside the top 10, if he still feels like that.
I thought
we're in the
your
push.
bet was 15th, but
no, I think I said 10. I'll take 10. I'll double down and say 10. If he's still, because now is the, clearly he's succeeded thus far. He hasn't finished outside of third.
Yeah.
But now he's got this 11-week stretch. Last year it was the Minnesota Majestic with a little jet lag. We saw him 12th. Vibram, we saw him 12th.
I'll say there's 3 places where I think he could really run into an issue. Here, Vibram, and USDGC. I think those are the only 3 places that he really has that possibility to drop outside of 10th. Obviously, there's always the chance, but with those particular courses, these particular courses have, and I don't even think this one he really has much of a chance, because this course
to fall out of
top 10. This course is not a danger where you're going to start to suddenly take some really big numbers like you could at Vibram and USDGC. Paul won this last year handily. This course sets up very well for him particularly. I don't think this is really a good chance. I'll say it is just because anything.
You're trying to cover your own.
CYA. But I think Vibram and USDGC are really the only 2 chances he has to not take a top 10.
Okay.
Short of DNFing for some reason.
Well, I think there was a stipulation.
I'm sure there was, but
nonetheless. All right, guys, we are going to close things down for the regular show here tonight. It's been a lot of fun. We, of course, want to thank Mr. Paul Ulibarri for joining us, giving us some insights, and I think we're going to get back on track with seeing him a lot more regularly. You'll see him way more here than you will on his other silly podcasts. They don't. I just love giving him the business. But we're going to see a lot more of him in person and on our show. So we're looking forward to that. We hope Dynamite is all ready to go for tomorrow. We missed him tonight, but 4 p.m. out at Sunset Hills. That's where this 9-hole match will be taking place. where you have the chance to, again, partner up with Paige Pierce, Nate Doss, Valerie Jenkins, or Ricky Wysocki. All money being raised goes right to the St. Jude Children's Hospital. So they're making a massive contribution this week, and that's just going to be one part of it. So we're excited to help support that and put that out there. Of course, SmashBoxx TV will be live with you at some time in the afternoon, I think around 3 p.m. Central.
2:30 to 3 Central.
Sure.
We'll figure it out.
Sometime around there.
We'll make sure you guys have all that information.
You'll see it on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then look for post-production coverage and action from all of the normal staples in our disc golf video industry. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, that's podcast 154. Stick around for the after show as we prepare for the Ledgestone Insurance Open. We'll see you in a few minutes when you step inside the SmashBoxx.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the video credits. If you're interested in being listed as a producer on SmashBoxx TV's podcast, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
After show.
Boom!
Welcome, everyone. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Johnny V here for the SmashBoxx TV podcast 154 After Show. Glad you guys could join us. We are talking primarily about the Ledgestone Insurance Open, and certainly should be a hot topic as it is the largest tournament in disc golf. And I haven't looked at their ad lately, but they have hundreds of thousands of dollars they're giving away.
And I think
nearly 1,000 competitors.
Not that we need to do this, but I think we definitely, and they're going to get their due. Give a shout out to Discraft.
Ooh, what? Discraft?
Discraft puts a lot of money into this event, and Nate does some great fundraising, but Discraft also does some really good things for the event as far as custom discs and money raised and money put in. I can't thank them enough on this particular event for the disc golf community in general. I think they're doing a spectacular job in the past couple years. I think they've had they've had, I won't say a bad reputation, but it felt like they were faded from the disc golf community for a few years, and I feel like in the past 2 or 3 they've really stepped up again, and they are getting their name back out there with young players like Austin Turner. And just this weekend, you saw the Des Moines Challenge presented by Discraft and GNL Clothing, and the Ledgestone and Brent Hambrick was a Discraft event. You see Discraft's name out there, the Memorial, way more often. A lot of these Worlds with these big events. So
Green Mountain Championships.
You might not see, unfortunately, some of their, other than Austin and Nate Doss and now Val, of course, their players. They don't have the width of players that some of the other plastic companies do, but they are making contributions in many other ways that might not be as front facing, and I can't play that enough. And we've said before, we like to give due to particular companies when they deserve it. We've done it with DD, and I think this is a spot where Discraft has really earned their kudos.
And then some. And it's funny because I was thinking about just that. It was kind of worked out that I was able to go to Des Moines Challenge, presented by Discraft and GNL Clothing. I was able to go to them and cover that event this weekend during the final round. That was worked out with both the club, the TD, and Discraft specifically. But meanwhile, the Brent Hambrick was taking place 6 hours the opposite direction from where I was going or headed. And they were also, again, a title sponsor at that event. And as we just named a bunch of the larger events that we know that they're part of, it's awesome to see. And as you just alluded to, we work with a lot of different companies, and we have great reputations with so many of them. And we love supporting them, and we love that they want to support us. And it's just this great overall feeling and relationship, and they're killing it right now, and it's awesome to see. So thank you to Discraft for your support. Thank you to all of our companies, as always. But this is a huge week for Discraft in the people that they've entrusted.
I'll say the past 3 week stretch has been really big.
And the people that they've entrusted and working with Nate to make this specific event the largest in disc golf history in a lot of ways is amazing. So I'll also say the tie to then having the fundraisers to then turning around and writing a massive check to St. Jude, which they've done the last 2 years and are planning to do again this year, that should help negate any form of second guessing or criticism or challenge out there. Everyone, when you put on events, it's so easy for people to be like, oh, well, they didn't do this or they didn't do that, or I think they pocketed or whatever, all the silly things that get said. But when you have a massive event with the largest payout in history and nearly 1,000 competitors, and then on top of it, you're making a huge contribution to a charitable entity like St. Jude, like I don't know, it's all good stuff. So we see Robert McCall is out on the board raising ruckus. I think he should be practice putting if I looked at his scores from this weekend.
Yeah. He had a rough second round, it looked like. I think it was in the 700s. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So Robert McCall's out on the board from Disc Golf Answer Man.
I'm not sure if I thought he was on a quest for 1,000, not a quest for 900.
Oh,
but I'm not sure.
Got him.
No. That's tough going to places. I know Robert. He said he hadn't been to those courses, so learning 3 courses and playing. I mean, they're gorgeous courses, and he said he's going to be back for sure. So I'm excited because those Des Moines courses are just gorgeous.
Yeah, lots of and a great environment, a lot of great people there, and a lot of great support. So saw it all taking place. Also, Seth from Disc Golf Strong out on the board. Seth, you'd be happy to know I was keeping cool with your wet towel.
Mine's right over there on the stairs.
I was keeping cool with it recently. I appreciate that. Speaking of weather, I know we talked about hopefully avoiding any real significant weather. There's a chance of weather this weekend, but what, mid 80s? Are we getting a little bit of a break from non-disgusting humidity and heat?
Are you talking just here in Milwaukee?
I'm talking
or just country.
No, I'm talking about for the event at Ledgestone.
The event. I still have the weather pulled up. It looks like I mean, Thursday you look like you're about a high of 80 degrees. Friday, a high of 70 degrees. So
wow,
borderline chilly. No, Saturday 78 degrees and Sunday 76. So perfect summer weather.
Yes. So looking forward to that for sure. Yeah, that's very, very mild. Sweet, should be good. I was going to talk about. Well, first of all, pretty exciting to see that the Cubs came to town here in Milwaukee.
They did. And like whenever they do, they bring a whole bunch of jackasses with them. Not just the team either.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't think it's nice to call Mike Barnett of Sun King Disc. We like him.
No,
him and
like
Charlie Goodpasture were here on Friday night.
Dan is a great...
Dan Harbeck, one of our favorite Smashies. Dan and Annette Harbeck.
And this is obviously a... We're pretty close to Wrigley, and
about 100 miles or so. Yep.
So it's actually closer for some of the northern Illinois people and easier to get to Miller Park than it is to Wrigley. And Wrigley sells out well in advance. So at the beginning of the year, a lot of Cubs fans buy tickets to the Cubs Brewers thing right away because it's a better chance for them, and they get to come to a better stadium. I mean, Wrigley has tradition. They've got the ivy wall, but they also have troughs that you pee in, and not urinals and places. And I'll say this: Wrigley has the history. Miller Park's a better ballpark. You have better amenities. You have better food choices. You have, in general, more comfortable seating, depending on where you're sitting, because we've got a lot of actual seats and not just benches. And I know Wrigley is slowly upgrading and doing their thing, but it is overall it is known as a better park for a fan than Wrigley. And again, I think Wrigley has, just like Fenway. Fenway is a phenomenal park for its tradition, but if you want creature comforts, the newer stadiums are better in that aspect. And Miller Park is a newer stadium. So, but yes, the Cubs came to town, took 2 out of 3. They were pretty, for the most part, they were pretty close. Close games, and
unlike tonight where the Cubs won 16-4. Did I see?
Yeah, Brewers won tonight over the Cardinals too, 2-3. So I was actually at that game for a little while tonight. I had to bail out in the 4th or 5th inning to make it here because it was Cub Scout night. So my boy was out on the field representing Pack 208 for the Cub Scouts.
Well, it was great to see, and I wanted to say, awesome to see Dan and Annette Harbeck out there. Cool. Some favorite Smashies, huge supporters of disc golf, also big supporters of Smashbox, and just really anything disc golf related. But it was great to see those guys. Also, just randomly, as we were up in the nosebleed seats, originally myself and my buddy Dustin Skorpinski, and then next thing you know, Mike Barnett and Charlie Goodpasture are in the house, so to speak. Excuse me, and they came up and visited and hung out for a little while. Unfortunately, I got to experience the loss that took place on Friday night, but as you said,
you should have went to more games.
Saturday and Sunday night, Saturday and Sunday, they took care of business, so kind of fun to see. Yes, talking a little bit of baseball, but one of this also segues into another fellow Smashie who watches some of the action. I saw on his Facebook page just a few minutes ago, and this is all tonight. Let me make sure I can pull it up. Scott Merrick, I think is how you pronounce his last name. I want to or maybe it's just Merck. Sorry. Scott Merck had ordered a license plate, custom license plate. He lives here in Wisconsin, but he's a longtime Cubs fan, lived down in Illinois. And the license plate I thought was relatively unique. It just says LWLLWWW, and that, of course, depicting last year's World Series for the Cubs.
That's that's clever.
It's very clever. He said,
I wouldn't think of that from a Cubs fan.
And
just kidding, Scott.
But he said in his status update, it took 108 years, but it finally arrived today.
Good for him.
Again. So I thought that was really, really clever, knowing that he is the fan that he is and the roots that he has. It was I thought that was pretty funny, a really unique. And I'm sure people will confuse that with any other 7-game series, especially when he's a Wisconsin license plate. But nonetheless, one of the other funny things that arrived in my, I think forever now, I'll always be amused by Facebook's clever little, yesteryear status things where they kind of update you. Mm-hmm. This happened 1, 2, or 5 years ago. It was a year ago to the day that a drunken moron that occasionally watches us had called me out for using the term Smashies, and he was all ticked off about how funny. Okay. So it was funny a few moments ago when Uli was signing off that was a phrase that he used, and we love you guys. We just want that's where I wanted to go with that. Is we love you guys and we appreciate you tuning into the show.
Of course.
All right, out on the board. Let's see what else we have. Drew Gibson looks like Justin Timberlake from one of his most popular box videos. That's
yes,
I could see that.
A couple people have said that.
Drew Gibson suffered a little bit of frustration this week, and I saw in a status update that while I was in Des Moines filming, he was over at the Brent Hambrick, and he said something about he threw a shot. The spotter thought he had it. He or she had it. I think it was a she, actually. I think she was a she. The volunteer spotter thought she had it. They got up there. The group couldn't find the disc. And then ultimately, it was 3 minutes later, it was declared lost, and he had to re-tee. Ouch. And then I guess he was within 15 or so feet of the basket, so I'm not sure the full situation. But that's a tough break anytime. And as I said, I kind of wrote back to him reminded him. I hope you thanked the spotter for being there. The spotter didn't lose your disc though. The spotter didn't throw it either, and he said he thanked her and was all about it, as he should have been, which is great. But that's a very tough situation to be in. That you've thrown a shot, it can't get located, and then ultimately, if you have to go re-tee or throw from the last spot where you threw from with penalty, that can be really tough to experience. I know how that goes, unfortunately. All right, and also, Robert McCall, I wanted to ask, you can share it with us on the board a little bit. I think you had expressed to Johnny saying that was your first time playing in Iowa.
I thought it was the first time he said playing at the Des Moines courses.
At the Des Moines courses, okay.
Remember, he's an Austin guy originally. So
exactly, I know. And as I think it was Dixon who famously said many years ago, while him and I were doing a live show, that I-35, if you hop on I-35 and just take it up and down the country, you will have a ton of great golf to play. And so there's your little quick tip. Some people say, oh, I'm thinking about taking a vacation, or I want to travel to a certain area. If you want to go north and south, hop on I-35. It'll bring you into plenty of different golf all around the country. All right. Disc Golf Nerd is talking about his next run of discs. I think we gave one away last week. Does that sound correct? Disc Golf Nerd, we gave a disc away of yours. Thank you so much for the support, and to everyone else out there, hopefully you enjoyed that. And Robert says, yes, it was his first time ever playing in Iowa. If you have the information up, I have a giveaway that could be done. Or are you working on it still?
I'm working on it right now, actually. Yeah.
I'll stall.
This is very interesting because, as always, on the first of the month, the pledges process, and inevitably there's always 2 or 3 or 4 people whose card gets declined. So normally I sort based on that. But I just want to double check that I don't. I usually will give some leeway the first couple of days and say, oh, your card was declined. I'm not going to take you out of the drawing because you'll probably just put in a new card tomorrow or the next day.
Sure.
So I just want to make sure I have everybody that should be in there, and I don't want to leave anybody out.
Yeah, so that's a real quick PSA, though, because it does process essentially at the first of every month. Sometimes a card will decline. More often than not, we'd like to think or assume it's probably because your card has expired. And so go out and double check if you have a card attached, whatever that is, to your Patreon account. Please go out and double check that. As Johnny said, we can give a little leeway, but then ultimately you may get pulled out of the drawings if it's not running through after that. And it doesn't tell us why it declined. It just says that it does, and I know there's a lot of different reasons why it could. But that is something to keep on top of out on Patreon.com. And some don't know this, and I'll give an all-around plug. Patreon is this amazing entity, and a bunch of different people are using it. In fact, I think thanks to Johnny V's brilliant suggestion, I believe I was the first disc golfer to really jump on and use Patreon for the video blogs that I've been doing for 7 years or so. I have one set up for the video blogs that I do that are specific to the disc golf guy and the post-production stuff that I put out. Central Coast has a Patreon account. Jomez has a Patreon account. I believe Nate Sexton and Jeremy Coling have Patreon accounts for when they do commentary. Smashbox does specifically for only when we do our podcast. So there's a lot of different ways and entities that they're all out there. So if you're looking to support any one or all or some or whatever the case might be, a lot of different people. I've had a number of people say to me that they had no idea that I had a Patreon account, which is funny.
One.
Yeah, a separate one from this. And that, again, is used for the post-production. So I just want you to know.
Yeah, I know personally some creators that have 2 or 3 or 4 different Patreons for all the different projects that they do. That they might do different podcasts that have different crowds that might not, their Venn
crossover.
Their Venn diagrams don't overlap at all. Okay, I think I'm ready. I have our wonderful list of people here. Again, so we have 150.
I hope it's somebody that's at the Ledgestone Insurance Open, because then I would hand deliver it this week.
That'd be great. Yeah,
that'd be even easier, because mailing. If I owe you anything, reach out. Also, a quick plug, which some people may not get till it's way too late. If you need any disc in a boxes, as in shipping boxes that I've co-created with a few other people, you may have seen them from the Glide Pro Shop. It was him and I that went in on that project originally. If you need those, I could hand deliver some of those to Ledgestone as well. They're sold in 100-count boxes, and I'd have to pack them up and bring them tomorrow. So if you need 100 of them, let me know.
All right, so what are we giving away this week? It looks like you have... Oh, I've got a great story after we do this, too.
Okay.
It's a fun one.
Uh-oh, it's a great, fun story.
It's not great.
All right, this is kind of a cool little mixed pack of items you can't go pick up in a store, which is even better. So first and foremost, Nate and Val, who had visited a few months earlier, we had only a couple hundred towels. Some people got them in their player pack. Otherwise, you had to get them as part of a supporter pack. This is a very nice microfiber towel with the Bevel logo on it, Bevel Craft Brewing. They had done a collaboration beer here in Wisconsin for the event. If I still owe you a trophy for it, I've had it, and I've reached out to everybody, but haven't gotten all the responses. So I have the trophy. So, towel. Your very own SmashBoxxTV Sport Sack. Done on both sides. Beautiful SmashBoxxTV Sport Sack. Comes with a free Ziploc bag.
Okay.
And, last but not least, Nate and Val had signed a Skyline Classic mini driver. I'm trying to think if this was a mini nuke. I forget. Yep, mini nuke. So a mini nuke with the Skyline Classic, but more importantly, a Nate and Val signature. So all three of these items valued at $29.99. Actually, probably more than that. Anyway, all three of these items will be given out to our Smashy.
We have 154 patrons, so thank you all 154 of you. So I've got the random.org up here. I'm going to hit the generate the number right now. It is currently sorted by first name. Last week we did not do that. We had it sorted by particularly by the donation amount. So we like to change it up every once in a while. People complain like, oh, my name might be top or bottom all the time. It's not all the same. So I'm hitting generate, and the number is 55. So I'm going to scroll down, and that is a...
International competitors are eligible, as I shipped to Australia a few weeks ago.
I think this guy's won before. This is Jake Harris.
Well, he's on the board getting all loud tonight.
He is. So congratulations, Jake. You'll have to forgive me. I'm not. We've done so many giveaways. I forget
many giveaways.
Who's won
Tens
and not.
of thousands.
So congratulations to Jake. He might have won that. Did he win on that night we gave away two things? I don't forget.
You could probably check that spreadsheet thing you keep.
I do have a spreadsheet that I keep that I just don't have it open right now.
Jake from St. Louis or from State Farm?
Either way, because I think we might have made that joke when he won last time.
Oh. Well, either way, Jake, you are the winner of this nifty little setup that we've got here. Again, a mini nuke, a custom towel, and a SmashBoxxTV Sport Sack. If you need any of these items.
If he's won, it hasn't been since at least March, because the other columns are on my spreadsheet are hidden. I'm not going to unhide them because it's a pain in the butt. So congratulations, Jake. You are tonight's Patreon winner. Do I get to do this? Patreon winner. The new mixer doesn't have that option though.
At all?
Doesn't have it for like the reverb.
Really?
It's a very condensed small one. Maybe I'll
And you claim it's better.
It's better for VMix.
If it doesn't have reverb, it's not better.
I know. It's just so. Congratulations, Jake.
Okay, well, yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for being a supporter, and we'll get this stuff sent out to you. So you'll receive an email from Johnny V, and it'll probably copy me, which then you'll just have to reply, make sure we have your address, and then I'll get it sent out anywhere from 1 to 45 days from now. I'll just give myself a little leeway.
Yeah, not you're busy. So I have a mildly amusing story to me. We were this weekend. My wife was out of town. She was in Chicago at some. It sounds funny, but at what they consider a yarn crawl, where they take all these different yarn shops to whatever. So I had the kids for the weekend. So Sunday morning, I decide I'm gonna go bring them to a park. And I thought, where can I bring them? Like, I want to go to a park where there's a disc golf course, so I can just sit and putt around. I'm not gonna do a full round. I'm sitting there at Root River Park, or Root River, depending on how you want to pronounce it. At the playground, putting on what is now the new hole 18. So just right next to the road. It's
I know where this is going.
And I'm just sitting there playing, and my daughter's sitting there cheering as she likes to do. My son's running up and down the park trying to hatch an egg in Pokemon Go or something. I'm putting. There's a group that comes up, and I pull my daughter aside and say, let's walk over. They throw, and she loves all sports. She loves to cheer. She loves to cheer people on. So she's cheering. She goes, and one of the guys walks up and no shirt on or anything, and she's like, I love your game. And as he misses a stupid putt, and so then she cheers and cheers and cheers, and he walks over to her and he goes into his bag, and I say, oh, hi, how's it going, whatever, and he kind of ignores me or doesn't really pay much attention to me, pulls out a mini EMAC Truth and hands it to my daughter and says, there you go, sweetheart. And this guy's probably 25, 30, and he says there you go, you can play with that. And it's still got the sticker on it. It's from GMO. I looked at it, I thought, that's really funny. I mean, that's something I like to do in general. If I have spare discs and I see a kid playing with a bad disc, or just, and I like to give him a disc, and I just kind of thought, I'm like, it's funny. I said, oh, GMO, we covered that event as in like a live broadcast. And he kind of looked at me, and I don't think he understood what I meant. Maybe he's not a fan.
You mean the GMC?
No, not GMO. I'm sorry. The
GBO.
GBO.
Okay.
GBO.
Okay. I was just totally lost.
Yeah, the EMAC. Yeah, GBO.
Because I run a GMO.
Yeah, and
that's why I'm so lost.
And I was looking Skyline and GMO, and it's all in my head. So GBO.
Okay.
And I said EMAC Truth from GBO, and I was like, oh, we covered that event at the GBO. And he looks at me and he's like, oh, and he kind of just ignores it. And I sat there and I was like, he just gave my daughter a disc, which is great and awesome. He had no clue who I was, which is fine. Understandable. Especially, it's like we're not covering an event or anything like that. And I was just like, what a nice thing to do. Mm-hmm. I wish more people would have things like that just to give to kids. I almost wanted to toss it back and be like, we're good. We don't need this. But I didn't want to offend him.
Sure.
And so we took it, and she was extremely happy. She threw it around a couple times, and then screamed like a banshee when her brother tried to do it. She didn't want him to play with it. But I thought it was a very cool thing, and it's one of those tips I think I give once a year and say, if you have the opportunity, carry extra minis, carry these new mini discs, which are great, or carry an extra putter, a bad one that you don't throw, that you can give out to somebody you see on the course. So I just got a kick out of that this weekend.
Pay it forward, spread the love, grow the sport.
All that good stuff. It's Saturday is National Disc Golf Day, I believe, as I saw, or International or Disc Golf Day.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, National Disc Golf Day on Saturday, which is awesome. Always the first Saturday now in August. So get out there, spread some love. It's obviously we'll be doing our part over at at the Ledgestone Insurance Open. Also, I'm sorry, there's another? I believe Scott Reek is running a Midwest Amateur Championships down in Kansas City this weekend, which is I'm assuming to be a pretty large scale event as well. So
yeah, more than
lots of stuff going on. I've been thinking a lot in terms of doing the a little bit of the travel agent hat and just all sorts of things. Just how insane August and September and into October are really going to be. I know we referenced it earlier. Paul Macbeth, Paul Ulibarri, both have referenced it. It's incredible how busy weekend after weekend after weekend everything's going to be. Live, post-production, whatever the case might be. There's just a lot of stuff going on. To quickly rifle through some of them, you think Ledgestone this weekend. Next weekend's a little up in the air, but the weekend after that, we're back at the Pro Tour in Idlewild, Kentucky. The weekend after that is the National Tour over in Pittsburgh. The weekend after that, a few days later, you're starting up at the Vibram over in Massachusetts. Weekend after that, a lot of the players will either be in Nantucket, most of our top players, or the Greater Hartford Open. So that's September 9th or 10th weekend. And then that's also the same weekend as the U.S. Masters event taking place back in Iowa, Des Moines area. Weekend after that is Smuggler's Notch. The weekend after that is the United States Women's Disc Golf Championships. Then we move into USDGC, and then shortly after that is the Hall of Fame Classic, and then the Pro Tour finale. And within there, the Pro Masters Worlds, August 12th through the 19th time frame. So it's insane. There's a ton of golf to still be played. A high level, top-notch competition, great courses, great coverage. all across the board. There is a ton of golf taking place in the next few weeks. So if you're not jacked, you're not in it.
We hit a small lull in events, and now we're back at it, and I'm really excited for the upcoming month and a half.
Yeah, so lots of stuff going on. Looking forward to seeing a ton of people out there. As I was just in Des Moines, great time. I was at US telling I haven't done much filming. I think literally just a few days of filming or visiting Iowa in the last 10 or 12 years, 13 years, and now I've been there back-to-back weekends, and maybe going next weekend if something works out. So
cool.
Iowa's got it going on. I see a lot of posts, people talking about corn. Zach Melton, Paul McBeth, a lot of Snapchats. In between those cornfields, there's a lot of good golf.
There is lots of rolling hills.
Rolling Hills doubles just took place, I think, this weekend, actually, in Iowa.
I don't doubt it.
So we got it all. If you got anything on the board, please share it with us. Otherwise, it may or may not be a kind of a shorter night, which I'm okay with, as I've got to get some final things packed up and headed over to wherever I'm going tomorrow. Yeah, Peoria. I'll be out there by 4 p.m. filming the doubles match taking place. That kicks off, part of what kicks off the Ledgestone, as they're already somewhat in the swing of things. Let's see what's on the board. Yes, crazy that Simon and Eagle are both skipping Ledgestone. We talked about that way earlier in the show. I reached out to Simon just today, and he said there's a promotional tour and some other things that UC had lined up for him, and he said just financially and logistically and travel-wise and everything else, it makes sense for him to stick around for a few more weeks back in Finland. I believe that's where he is, back in Finland, as opposed to coming here. He said we'll likely see him again at the next Pro Tour stop, Idlewild in Kentucky. So that's kind of the plan there. Ledgestone is going to rock. Dan, are you going to be there in any capacity, playing, spectating?
This is the first year I'm really excited for Ledgestone. And I know the players get excited, but I know Nate's going to hate to hear this. I hated that Northwood course. Filming on it because the signal was crappy on like half of the course. We had to stay in a certain area,
not just the front or the back half, but like half of the random holes.
And up on the flat spot where we thought like, oh, this might be okay. It was spotty, so I always felt that the broadcast wasn't as good as it could be. And now that we're eliminating that course from the event and only going to Eureka, I'm excited that I don't have to sit and scream at Terry, I need you to move 2 feet to the left because it's better signal. I'm really, truly excited for this event.
Things should be smoother and operationally, and that makes that can get you a little bit more excited about how it should all go down. So, yes, very much looking forward to it.
Matthew Urban says, what's the volleyball hole you guys mentioned earlier? There was a hole on the first year where they threw down a hill to a small green that on the back of the green it bordered water, but before that, there was a volleyball, like the sand volleyball court, and they had to basically, did they lay up right before the volleyball court, or did they throw over it and lay up to a spot and then throw again onto this tiny little green? It just wasn't, it was a weird
fixture in the middle of a somewhat awkwardly laid out hole.
Yeah, it was just, nobody liked the hole. It was kind of a joke. It was one of the big complaints of the event, that, and there was a few other things that people didn't care for as far as stroke and distance that first year. But that volleyball hole, if you go back 2 years and look at the coverage, either from us or I don't know if CCDG or Jomez covered that year, it might have been just us. You can find that. It was really awkward. So, and nobody went for it, so it made it a really boring hole as well because the green was so small.
Yeah, it was a very very much a conversational piece. There was a little controversy, but also just conversation in general, and it looks like they've got things adjusted. Dan says that he might be out there the final day. Hope to see you. Parking is atrocious. Watch it live on Smashbox. Parking will be tough. Make sure you're carpooling over to the Lake Eureka Park in order to try and find yourself a spot to park. All right, looks like Dad's drunk. Yes, this is the after show. Yeah, you don't have our nifty.
Oh gosh, yeah,
you're missing out. The people are going to be totally lost.
They're so confused. Forgot to hit that.
So yes, this is definitely the after show. And it looks like there's a little chatter going on about some kind of disc golf frisbee exchanging taking place here on the live chat.
Yeah, I know there was a big talk about putters because someone was asking what I was practice putting with, and I just said I've always been a fan of the hard magnets, but I've accumulated some soft magnets in the past, and they're beat up and they're worn, and they're practice putters. And I literally grabbed a pile of what I went out to Valley View with last time. So it was 3 putters, it was 2 magnets, a Judge, and then my Nova that I've been throwing. I'm really growing to like the Nova as far as just a little approach from 150 feet, which is a lot of what I threw that morning. Just throw up there, putt in for a couple discs, and then come back. I felt weird because it's a pay-to-play course, and I don't have a season pass. I was right next to the playground, and I was just tossing on one particular hole. Should I have paid the $5? I didn't play the course. I was just playing on hole 18 because I didn't want to walk over to what I think was the practice basket like 400 feet away. And I wanted to be near the playground where my kids were. So I was thinking, like, should I be paying for this? I'm not playing the course, but I'm just practice putting. And my kids
At what point are you playing the course?
I think when you start to play, I literally never once threw from a tee pad.
You just threw right next to it?
No, I was like,
no, dude, I stood 2 feet to the right of it. I'm not playing.
I was never more than 150 feet from the pin, and I just kind of went back and forth. And when people came through, I walked out of the way. I didn't feel that guilty about not paying because I was only there for like 25 minutes or a half hour. But I was thinking, like, what is the policy? If I'm sitting there, if I go there just to practice putt and never play the course, should I pay $5? If I go there, obviously, if I'm going to be playing on the course itself, you should pay. But it was a qualm I had in my head, like, is this weird? What if a ranger came up to me? Well, you know, does he have any grounds? Do I have any ground to stand on?
I would, if you were putting on hole 18, practice putting on just hole 18. I would think a ranger
could think that I was actually I played the course.
Correct, and
I
would,
that.
and it is a really good question. Dan Harbeck just said you're a slime ball.
I know
for not paying.
Clearly.
And Greg on the board says you sound pretty guilty.
I was there. I watched other people pay when they came
by
in.
By letter of the law, I would say you should have paid.
Okay.
If you're going by just hardcore letter of the law. Now, I'm uncertain.
If you just went there to practice putt, like on the practice basket.
In that case, because it's a pay-to-play course, I would think you should have to
still pay. Yeah.
In that case. Now, there are a number of places within Milwaukee County that are free. There's a couple of little 3-hole courses, ADA friendly that I helped develop along with a couple other people. And there's even some 9-hole courses that are free to play. If you're practice putting on the practice basket at a pay-to-play course, I still unfortunately would say by letter of the law, maybe not unfortunately, I would think you would have to pay. That's a great poll. I'd love to get the opinion of our smashies
and
out there.
And most people out there are saying, I'm not drinking my guilt away, it's water tonight, that I should have paid. If I putted at least 36 times, I should pay.
He putts more than that during a normal round.
During a normal round, that's just a 2-putt every hole. Yeah, but I think by letter of the law, I should be obligated to pay. I don't feel bad for not paying. Like I said, I threw a half hour of interrupted putting practice with my kids, and if I wouldn't have practiced putt, I would have been fine with that. I went there. If the course was packed, I would not probably have putted. But it was early on Sunday morning. There was hardly anybody out on the course at that point, so I didn't feel as bad just taking up a little bit of time on the last hole right next to the playground. Well, it's 200 feet from the playground, but so I didn't feel that bad about it. But you're right. By the letter of law, I probably should have paid.
Yeah, I would think if you're doing anything on any of those baskets, even if it's just practice, I would think. Now, here's the funny part for me. I took my daughters out sometime in May to go play around. Now, kids under the age of, I don't know if it's 16, I think it's 16, under the age of 16 are free to play. I didn't even bring a disc when I went with them. And they played. Should I have been subject?
Did you throw a disc at all?
I didn't. No,
Never once?
I didn't bother.
Okay, then no, you shouldn't be paying.
But it's question. I'd have to go to the website to see and confirm because I know they don't allow walk-alongs. Let's just say
Really? Oh,
yes.
Then in
they
that
don't.
case, then yeah, you should have had to pay if they don't allow walk-alongs.
But if I'm not playing, and just my kid is,
if you're a walk-along, then
I guess
you
maybe
Slimeball. You're talking to Slimeball TV tonight.
now I want to go to their site and double check. But anyway, it's an interesting
it is.
debate. Milwaukee County Disc Golf Pass. That's in my Googles already, and it says just so all right. There are 5 practice courses that are ideal for learning the game. There are 5 pay-to-play courses. Youth ages 16 and under play any course for free. Disc golfers 17 or over play an annual permit on the pay-to-play from dusk to dawn. Bring your own discs. Oh, they've now made an amendment to tournament players. Oh, that's another story for another day. Purchase, pay-to-play. Let's see if I can get into some final details here. Okay, here's some general information. It's open. A permit is required except at practice courses for those ages are 17 and up. The rights to close, reserving groups, alcoholic, park, unless otherwise noted, rules of play. Report any problems. Yeah, okay. So nowhere does it really answer
about your walk-along.
Yeah, I think that was stated at one point. Because one of the challenges that, and this could be said of a lot of disc golf facilities that are pay-to-play, and I'm going to be stereotypical for a moment, you may get 4 guys that go out and play and 1 girlfriend who's not interested in playing, just says, well, I'm just going to walk along. They may not carry a disc. They may not, they're literally just walking along.
Sure.
And again, I'm using a stereotype here, but that could be the case. You could have 4 women that go out and play and 1 guy walks along. I get it. The question always was, should that additional person who says they're not playing at all, should they have to pay at all? Yeah, that's crazy because
I don't know. That's a great question.
It really can be. And in my case, like I said, I didn't bring any discs. I didn't throw any discs. I was really there just to facilitate my kids being able to play because they were 8 and 6 and 5. This other kid, and I didn't gain one.
You didn't kidnap a kid somewhere.
No, I'll go. I guess if I'm gonna steal a kid. Now this is some pro tip. If you're gonna steal a kid, steal one from a disc golf course because they're probably into it already.
Oh, if that's what you're interested. Yes, makes sense.
If you want to steal a kid for your own and you hope they like disc golf, steal one from the disc golf course. That makes sense. There's a good pro tip. Anyway.
Terry's kidnapping kids tip. Only found on Smashbox After Show. Just saying.
You won't get that from Robert McCall, huh?
Brought to you by Dodge Windowless Vans. There goes Dodge as a sponsor.
Darn it. Steve Dodge, though. All right. Nothing is free. I like paying for nice courses with staffed clubhouses, Nathaniel says. And I totally agree.
Yeah,
and again, if I were to ever play, I clearly either buy the pass, the season, or the daily pass. It was just funny because I was trying to get my daughter, really it was only her 2nd or 3rd round ever playing, and took her to the 9-hole side of a 27-hole course. It was perfect for her and 2 other friends to play. And I thought about paying, and then I thought I didn't need to, and that would be a good question for someone.
Yeah.
Right. Anything goes in the after show. You are exactly right. And Nathaniel says, I'm in Maine and almost everything is pay to play. I would challenge to ask, is there any course that isn't pay to play? I was always under the understanding, at least even when I had visited last September, I believe that literally every course in Maine is pay to play. And I very much like that model. I think that's great. And somewhere like there, they may think our conversation's crazy, like you don't pay to go play this gorgeous course, or some of these public or county facilities, and a lot of times you don't. But in Maine, that's what they've done.
And from the very beginning, I have not had any problem with the Milwaukee County Pass at all.
Well, no, because you don't buy one.
You're right. I haven't bought one. This is the 3rd year, correct? I've yet to buy one because. It's kind of funny that they did the Milwaukee County Pass just as we were kind of spinning up Smashbox, if I recall. And it's been like, I just don't play enough to make it qualify. So I told John Knutson today, who's selling some very sweet plastic.
Quiet. I'm buying it.
And I said, he was saying, he's like, when I go out and throw, I don't want to throw this really nice stuff. He's like, if I go out and throw, I'm going to stop at a Play It Again Sports and pick up some crap to throw for fun. And I said, I'm the same way. I asked him if he had some specific types of plastic, and he didn't. And I said, I've got a bunch of really nice plastic I'm not going to throw, and I might play 8 rounds this year. And so it's not worth it to me. I told him it wasn't worth it to me to buy any of his really nice plastic because it would go to waste. But in general, if I played more league rounds or I played more, I would definitely buy the Milwaukee County Pass.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, the rounds that I do play usually are at Valley View, which is just outside the county. So
Cheapo.
no, it's just closer.
So a question that came in a little bit earlier, I apologize if it was you, Carver, or someone else had said something about what do I feel about Uli's step putt? And just plain and simply, I'm good with it. It's by the way the rule is written about releasing the disc and so on and so forth, supporting points, all that stuff. I'm good with it. I think it's legal to the way in which he executes it. Others, maybe not, but Uli's specifically, I'm good with. What I was shocked, and that really segues into another point of mine about putting, I was shocked that Chris, I apologize if it's Kesselhoff or whomever, the 1,000-rated gentleman from Am Worlds who finished 4th, he had a step putt during the final 9, in which I recorded, and he executed it perfectly. And I do not believe there was not a massive uproar on the internet about it. Because if somebody wants to challenge step putts,
that's the one to do it on.
Generally, or specifically Uli, or whatever the case might be, if you want to challenge one or think that just it kind of blows your mind to watch one, his specifically, I'm going to find it quickly and show it to you, Johnny. It's just incredible. And I'm just surprised, knowing the comment section, how it usually works, that people did not lose their minds over that particular putt. And I think I may have it queued up for you in just a moment, actually. This is during the final 9 at Worlds. Yeah, it was just before this. And so here's what I'm going to reference. It is at the 13-minute and 45-second mark. I don't know if you want to bother pulling this up. Should I link you? I can link you right to the spot.
Well, if we're going to talk about it,
then we'll do that.
It'd be nice to show.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'll link you directly.
Carver G says it was a good step putt.
I guess maybe I won't. You'll have to just go to it. So I'm going to 13 minutes and 45 seconds. Yeah, roughly is where the putt is.
Send me the link.
And we'll get it up here on the screens. But if you're listening or you want to reference this sometime later, this is the 2017 Am World Championships Final 9 with the men.
You sent
it. Sorry, there you go. And I didn't reference you right to the. Yeah. So we'll give Johnny a moment to bring that up, and then we'll discuss it. But knowing what I usually see on the YouTubes and in the comment section.
Link.
Did I not give you the right link?
The link you sent me is the edit link, which is why.
Oh, you can't see it. All right, sorry. Here you go. This is some sweet on-the-fly action. There you go.
This is some.
It'll work. It's the after show. This will be worth it because
I
think
people complain about how long our show is. So,
so 13:45 is the mark.
Okay. So I'm bringing up the 13:45 mark, and
we'll put that on screen.
Let me grab it for the screen capture. So now everyone should be able to see us, and they can see the YouTube.
All right.
They can hear us and see the YouTube.
Okay. This is Chris Kesselhoff from California. This is my first time ever seeing him play. And I'll admit, I was like, what the F is he doing right now? What is he doing? What's going on?
That was a good step putt. At least I think so. Well, here.
Sure. Go ahead and replay it. There's different frames, lots of different things. You can slow it down, all those types of things. My point being mainly, though, whether I think it's good or not is irrelevant, because usually when something like that takes place, people get really worked up on the internet and their just minds are blown and then start posting.
It's really awkward to see him throwing with the wrong foot forward at first.
And
yeah,
I slowed it down even slower and watched it frame by frame. and he certainly releases the disc before that other foot, before his right foot comes to rest. So I consider it good, again, by letter of the law. But anyway, thought I'd share that with you guys.
Definitely looks awkward, but... And I'll say, I think, in general, I think step putting looks silly.
Sure.
But that's just on plain looks. And if they ever eliminate step putting, I think they're going to eliminate jump putting as well.
Yeah,
I think they go hand in
synonymous.
They go
almost
hand in hand because there's all the arguments about the disc was out of his hand before or while he was in the air or whatever the problem is. So I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. But no,
yeah. Anyway,
and I understand.
I just thought it was interesting. Usually, a clip of that nature. And I'll admit the AM World's coverage did not get, if that was a national tour event,
you would have seen a bigger uproar,
and you would have seen it. But surprisingly, I don't think literally one person posted on the YouTube comment section regarding that, and that's just quite surprising. People love to get all worked up. All right, and the board seems to agree that there was someone said it. Carver says it's a modified horseshoe step putt.
Yeah. And Dad's Drunk brings up a good valid point. Germs. Legally, Germ's putt, when he had 1 foot in front of the mini, lifted it up and threw it. Mm-hmm. That looks even crazier.
More weird.
Because you think but as long as you fall backward, you're legally fine. That's why I think that's such a weird, almost a gray area in the rules. But I mean, how do you get around that? Do you say something like, you can't start your putting motion with any
supporting
point in front of your mini? I don't know how you would get around that, but it does. It looks goobery.
It looks very odd and unconventional, to say the least. But there's a lot of unconventional things
of course.
that take place
I mean,
there. So.
Look at how golf is eliminating those putters that people put right up into their chest. Those are really long ones. They're making, I believe they're still doing that. They're making those illegal because they think that it adds some sort of weird advantage to that putting style. And, even golf to this day and age is, the technology is changing, the players are changing, and they're adjusting for that.
Yeah. So interesting to see. I thought that was, and then the fact that he made it, because I remember him lining that up, and that was the first time I had seen him play. That was the first time he had a putt of that nature, was the third or fourth hole in, whatever it might have been. Mm-hmm. And I just remember him lining that up, and I'm just thinking, what is this guy doing? What's going on here? Mm-hmm. I was so lost for a moment. And then when he nailed it, I was like, okay, he knows something I don't. Yeah, he's on the final card. He's technically rated 1,000, and he's on the final lead card at AM Worlds. He knows something.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, give it to the guy.
Exactly. So, I gotta say, I don't have too much else here.
There's not a lot of after show tonight. Yeah, we can drag it out. People on Disc Golf Course Review like that. There was our reviews for SmashBoxx. A lot of people said, I listened to SmashBoxx. And there was a lot of people that says, I can't stand listening to SmashBoxx. They draw what should be in an hour into 3 to 4 hours. And unfortunately, I think we don't really do that. But what they see is the full regular show and after show time. And they say, oh my God, well, how, when we're sitting there being schmucks like we are now, they consider that part of the podcast. When actually I kind of think, well, your first 2 hours are your
actual content,
your meat. And then after this is just us yahoos being yahoos, because we have an open platform to talk. So,
Alexis asks, where can I get a shirt like mine? This was a special edition shirt, thanks to my friend Nate Heinold. I think this was from last year or the year before. It's all done up in some of my sponsor gear. It's got the nice Team Ledgestone logo on it. It's got my Keen sponsor logo. It's got a SmashBoxx logo on the side. I think it's got a Skyline logo on the back. This was a one-off shirt, so Miles Parkhill over at Paragon made this happen. So unfortunately, there's not more of these. Maybe you could have this one. Give you the shirt off my back.
That's just the kind of guy you are.
Yeah. Last final plug. Depending on when you're hearing this, hopefully you've watched or will be watching or can watch the Des Moines Challenge final round. Again, thanks to Discraft for making that possible. Discraft and GNL clothing for the event, and then Discraft specifically for making the coverage possible. So glad we could get that in and bring it to you guys. I think we're going to call it.
Wow.
We'll see you a lot. Some of you in Peoria tomorrow. Excited to see you there.
Get out there and support that doubles. You know,
Support
goes to
the
a good
doubles,
cause.
buy some-
I would love to be down there. If I could get out of work an extra couple days, it would be in heaven for me to be down there and actually get to participate in that. But unfortunately, I need to spend my vacation time on the broadcast stuff. So.
Me too. So we'll see you guys out there. Stop by, say hi. Hopefully I run into you at one of the social functions, one of the evenings, or just come up and scream into the microphone during a live broadcast. You could be that guy or girl. Okay, don't do that. But I look forward to seeing so many of you out there this weekend, and look forward to getting back to it with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, that's Podcast 154's After Show. We'll see you in just a few days when you can again step inside the Smashbox.